Before we even get into the episode, or do you have any like clarifications or anything before we actually start like breaking down the rules and everything?
So many, but I am just gonna wing it.
Okay. Uh,
Experience it live with everyone else, who I assume also has no idea what's going on here. So like
Only
it's a
Kristoff.
learning experience for everyone. I
Yeah.
can learn along with them.
Yeah. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Televised the TV movie story with a very special episode, and that is very. It is an episode just for me. So, also say hi, Gordon.
Hi, I'm here.
Gordon, as always, is here to co-host, but this episode's all about me today. Not really, but
It's me, remember? From podcast.
from podcast. Remember the last 27 episodes? This is not like those.
This is a different thing. This is brand new content, baby.
So context for what this episode is going to be, as well as just enjoying movies of all kinds, and special, including TV movies, as you know from this podcast. I am also a big fan of the reality show Big Brother, which is a reality competition show. 16 random Americans are brought into a house and have to compete to see who can win $750,000. And it's on every summer, and I love it. And I even make these like little like fantasy seasons for myself where it's like I make all these different competitions and like put all these random characters I like into it and see how a season of Big Brother would play out with those characters. And I asked Gordon if like, hey, can I do this for our podcast? I did it for my last podcast. Can I do it for this one? And Gordon begrudgingly said yes. So here we are.
Only marginally begrudgingly. I think it was I'm here. I'm I'm playing it up more. I'm totally down for this. I'm
Yeah.
very excited.
Yeah, I have talked this up where it's like essentially we're gonna be I've made essentially a tabletop RPG that is Big Brother, where essentially I've taken 16 random characters, well, not random, I've handpicked 16 characters from the different TV movies we've done. Only one per movie I've ensured. Uh, and we're gonna throw them into the game of Big Brother and see what happens. I've done a few test runs, like just to see like how these dynamics can play out and stuff. Like, and I've gotten like a different winner every single time, so it's gonna be very interesting to see how this official run through goes. Um, but before we get into the cast, I'm just going to do a brief rundown of how this all works. Like I said, I have 16 characters here, and one week by week, essentially, one is going to be eliminated until there are two left in the house, and then a jury of the last few that were eliminated are going to essentially pick a winner for the show. Of course, though, we will be the ones deciding how each one votes, but we'll try to maintain the spirit of each character. And what 1 week of this show is essentially, there are two competitions. First is the head of household competition. The winner of that becomes the head of household for the week, and they pick two people who will be nominated for eviction, who could potentially be kicked out of the house. There's also the veto competition, which is the one chance that the two nominated people have to take themselves off the block. Or if somebody else wins it, they can also choose to take someone off, and the HOH will have to pick someone else to go up. Then everybody who isn't nominated or the HOH has to vote for one of them to leave the house, and whoever gets the most votes leaves, and this just repeats over and over until we get to the very end. Now, do you follow that far, that much, Gordon?
Enough that I can fake it alongside
Yeah.
as you
You
set it up. It doesn't seem
it
too difficult to like catch on.
it's not too complicated, and like especially as we get in week by week, you'll definitely get into the rhythm. So now let's actually get into these house guests.
Can I
So
make some guesses?
I was just about to ask, do you have any guesses? I have confirmed one or two of them to you already, but
Oh, one that couldn't not be here is Queer
yes,
Duck. Queer
Queer
Duck
Duck
is
is of course
in the
here.
house. Queer Duck is in the house. Let me see. I feel like there probably has to be a Dennehy.
Uh,
Is Len Rowan? Is that the name of the guy from In Broad Daylight? Would be
So
a wild character for this.
I did not include a Dennehy actually. I've included characters from Dennehy movies, but not a Dennehy because most
Okay.
of his characters are pretty minor. And I
Yeah,
did not want to include Len Rowan.
that's fair. Um, let's see. Who else would be in there then? Is Gia from Gia?
I I did not feel it was okay to do
Fair.
Gia herself, though I do have some real people in this.
Okay. Is Michael from Prototype?
Oh, Michael? Yes, he is.
Right. That's
Which
his name, right?
yeah, it is Michael, which I debated so long about whether I should include him because he is, in fact, a robot and would win nearly every competition. But
He's a robot with feelings, though,
I've
Eliza.
balanced it. I have found a way for it to work.
Okay. Um,
Do you want me to just get into who's
yeah, I
actually
was
on
gonna
here?
say just go through it.
Okay, and I have them listed in order that we've covered the movie. So first
Okay.
one is going to be our earliest, and first one we have Kathleen Karangi, who is Gia's mother from Gia, which
Mercedes Rule?
Mercedes rule, yes.
Sure.
Which I didn't. I like I said, I didn't feel okay including Gia because it like her role in the movie is just so depressing. But I
Yeah.
thought Mercedes Rule is just such a big, bold personality, and I thought, and
Over Faye Dunaway. Okay.
Faye Dunaway is just barely there.
Fair, but it is Faye Dunaway, and Faye Dunaway on Big Brother is a concept, but so is Mercedes Rule. I like it.
I I have a feeling that like we'll eventually get some more Faye Dunaway TV movies because there are a lot. I feel like
Yeah.
if we do this again, which I hope we will, she'll be in there down the line. Do not worry. Uh, but yeah, just a brief rundown of like how I think she'll be playing. Like she'll be very emotionally playing. Like she'll bond to people very quickly, will break apart from people very quickly. She probably has a good sense of like strategy and stuff, but like her emotions can very much take control of her. Next, we have Dinah Bellman, who is the psychic girl from Langoliers,
Hell yeah.
which uh just for context, the first time I did this for my podcast, Mr. Magoo won, and so there is a non-zero chance that both times I've done this on a podcast, a blind person wins.
Who's to say? We'll find out.
It's very possible, but yeah, she is a very smart. She's very going to be very socially intelligent and also just a smart cookie in general when it comes to like memorizing things or things like that. And she's also going to be very loyal, is not going to be one to like backstab anybody, I don't think. Um, Next we have Dottie West from Big Dreams and Broken Hearts, the Dottie West story, which I know neither of us really remember this movie that well, but I feel like there is enough there to really grasp onto because we know that like she's a like first of all, she's like a big music star. Like, of course, she's going to have some physical strength, but just having to perform all the time, she's going to have some good, like, social capabilities. And, we also know that she gets into romances a lot and also gets divorced a lot. I remember all this from Big Dreams and Broken Hearts. Maybe you did not.
I do not, but I believe you.
Again, and it's like with some of these, it's like you're gonna remember the characters more than I do. I'm gonna remember some of these characters more than you do. Maybe I'll remember more just because I've been playing this over and over and over again. But also, you might know some like niche details from these movies that I just completely looked over. Anyway,
We shall see.
next I have Michael from Prototype, which, yes, like we said, Michael is in fact a robot android. He is going to be very good at like every competition essentially that like he is going to have trouble socializing, I think. Like he wants to be friends with people, but he doesn't know exactly how. Oh, so I think that might be a hindrance to him. He might not be able to get into like the right alliances. And also it's like, he might just let people win competitions sometimes too. And as we get into the competitions, a lot of them are decided by like dice rolls and whatever. But just know, every time Michael is competing, especially in like a physical competition or something like that, I am flipping a dice before or flipping a coin beforehand. If it's heads, he wins the competition. If it's tails, he loses. And then I roll the dice
Fascinating.
for everybody else.
I love that.
But yeah, but also it's like if Michael wins one HOH, he's not going to be able to compete in the next one. So whatever. Um, Lance Galland from Riot. Uh, I I think Lance Galland has a chance to be like a very good winner threat if things go his way. Like he is a very sociable person. He's very fit. Like he's going to be good at competitions and things like that. He's smart, or at least I think he's pretty smart. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think Lance Galland's going to be very fun. And again,
Sure. Yeah.
that's another real person. Also, Dottie West was a real person. Also, Kathleen Correct. We have three real people already. I did not think about that. Uh, Next we have Johnny Bristol from Welcome Home, Johnny Bristol. As we know from that movie, he is also very likable. In fact, he's probably the most like socially capable. Like in the Big Brother house, you're going to be just like missing your home life, and I feel like that Johnny Bristol just telling those stories of fucking Charles, Vermont is going to be a good way to get on everybody's good side. Next, we have Jay Leno from The Late Shift.
Perfect.
Just a hapless idiot, total follower, which is how I interpreted his character from that movie specifically. He might be funny, but I feel like nobody's going to really care about him at all. And
Understandable.
next we have Elizabeth Taylor from Liz and Dick. There's a lot of real people. I did not realize that how many there were. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh,
So far, it's what, 5 out of 8?
yeah, the only fake people are Dinah, Michael, and Johnny Bristol.
Fake people, also known as fictional characters.
Real people, fake people. Like that's the dichotomy.
There you
If
go.
there's real
Never mind.
people, there's fake people. Anyway,
True.
Elizabeth Taylor, we know what Elizabeth Taylor is like. She's gonna get bored, but she's also a big diva. And
Exactly.
who knows? She might be good at some competitions here or there. And next, we have Otis P. Hazelrig, which is Charles Durning in Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, who is like a very sociable guy, but also has like a heart of darkness within him. Like he's going to pretend to be nice, but he's going to be secretly like trying to work behind the scenes, like puppet mastering everything. And he might get found out. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Next, we have Jill Johnson from When a Stranger Calls Back, who is a no nonsense, like very caring but very serious kind of person. She's going to fight her hardest to get through this competition, but is not going to like I feel like off the
And
bat,
that's Carol Kane, right? That's
yeah,
not.
Carol Kane.
Yes, because okay, yeah, I'm pulling it up now because Carol Kane plays Jill Johnson, and then Jill Schoen plays Julia Jens.
Correct.
We got into this on the episode, a lot
We,
of J's, a lot of Jills.
we got so confused during that episode, but it was still a fun conversation.
Yes,
And next we have Lee Harvey Oswald from Ruby and Oswald.
of course,
I think he's just
another
going
real person.
I think he's going to just assassinate everybody's game. He's a bit of a loner, but I think he can, still work his way in with people. Nobody's going to think too much of him, which is a very good thing to be. Just get yourself underestimated. Next, we have Mr. Mike Character, who I just imagine as every season of Big Brother has at least one, if usually multiple, just generic guys who are just very nondescript. And so I had to include Mr. Mike Character.
What was his real name?
I just remember as Mike.
Mike Carr, apparently.
Yes.
Carr.
Next, we have Ella Harkins from Evening Primrose. She's very meek, very shy. But I think I think she's still like a very smart person. She's going to have good like social awareness, even if she's not going to be out there making the alliances and everything. And also, I think people will just take pity on her, might pull her into things. After that, we of course have Queer Duck, who the second we watch this movie, it's like I know I need to include him in this because I think it was like right around this time when I first pitched to you, like, hey, can we do this? And you said yes. And it's like, okay, now I'm going to plan this season. And Queer Duck was immediately on that list. I think it was actually before we even watched Queer Duck that I put him on here. Just like I know he's going to be on this.
He's got to be.
And, he's gay, he's a duck, he can't do shit, but he's gonna be fun. Next we have Bernard Lotz from the Million Game, which it felt like I had to include the one actual reality contestant in one of our movies into the fake reality competition we're doing. And he's going to be pretty good at it. I think he's shown that he has like good endurance, good stamina, good strength, and he's also a good strategist. Like he was able to survive all that long, though. Who knows how much production interference there was? And
That's true.
then lastly, our 16th contestant is the president from the Second Civil War, as played by Phil Hartman. Just an absolute oaf of a man. But
Delightful.
I think I think is gonna there's gonna be some interesting dynamics with him. What's your immediate reaction to this list of people?
It's a good list. I like it. Can I go through and do some notable exclusions? Some
Uh, I will say two people that I originally had in this that I did end up getting rid of for other people. Uh, I originally had Charles from Evening Primrose and Mr. Toomey from Langoliers, but I eventually decided against including them. One, because I wanted to have one person from each movie, but two, because we watched Million Game and Second Civil War, and it's like, oh, I'd rather have these characters than those characters.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Just going down the list, Drew Barrymore and Babes in Toyland.
I considered Babes in Toylands, but I just did not remember a thing about that movie or her character, and I
You
just
pulled from a few movies I remember nothing about anyway, but
I know
fair.
there is more to Dottie West to me than Drew Barrymore's nameless character in Babes in Toyland.
That's fair. Some of these are from movies that are represented elsewhere, but Mr. Toomey, good call.
Yeah.
David Letterman from The Late Shift,
Hmm.
Bubba from Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Uh,
Bubba, like Bubba would be hard to really play with. If like
it's a Scarecrow though, that's fun.
okay, oh I was thinking specifically Bubba, not the Scarecrow
Well,
when you
he
said
he
that.
becomes the Scarecrow.
Yes, but you
I
can't.
meant I meant Scarecrow Bubba.
Mhm. And also,
Uh,
while you do this, I'm going to send you a link to a little like it's just a little visual aid I have to help me keep track of like what's going on in each week, like who's still in the house and everything.
Perfect. Okay. William Landis from When a Stranger Calls Back, the serial
That's
killer.
Charles Durning. Oh
No,
no,
that's
the
the
serial killer.
serial killer.
Okay.
Uh, uh, fucking what's her name? Lee Merriweather in the ultimate. No, not Lee Merriweather. Raquel Welch in the Ultimate Legacy.
God,
The the dead
I
rich lady.
I was so I was tempted to do an Ultimate Legacy character, but it's like whether Raquel Welch or the fuck ass kid or the main guy from the movies who was a fuck up and then had to learn to love his wife twice. And it's
Yeah.
just like, God,
The
I just decided against it.
the aforementioned Len Rowan in Broad Daylight.
Mhm. In
Uh,
broad daylight.
yes. Wanda Holloway, The Positively True Adventures of the Alleged Texas Cheerleader Murdering
That
Mom.
that was a hard one to exclude. I really wanted to do her character, but I felt she was too similar of a character to Kathleen Karangi from Gia, and I just decided I wanted a more even representation from across the months. And I already had like two or three from May, so I was just like I'd rather include a January movie than a May movie.
I will cede that to you, I guess. Mrs. Harris. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
That just came too late. Like we just recorded that a few days ago.
It'll be out. It is already up by the time we're recording this. It's in the mix. It's a possibility. And the two that if I had veto power and I could include them on this list, the Master from Doctor Who the movie. Eric Roberts as the Master.
I really, yeah, no, I did not think about Doctor Who at all, but now that you mentioned it, yeah, maybe I should have included the Master or even the Doctor or even anybody from that movie. There's so many great characters. Will Sasso.
And my most heartbreaking loss that I will not get to play the Swarm of Ants from Ants.
God, how do you even play that? Like how,
How do you
like,
play any of this? Who
no,
cares? Swarm
but
of Ants. Swarm of
but
Ants for Big Brother. Let him on the show.
but what's the personality of the swarm of ants?
I don't care.
Who's
We're
the,
not playing personality. We're playing
we
the
we
hard
are
game.
explicitly playing personality. We have to decide like who are they going to align with? Who does the swarm of ants vibe with between the president of the United States and Michael the robot? And Dottie
Who
West,
cares? Who
and Jay
cares?
Leno and Lee Harvey
Who
Oswald.
cares? Let it work. Let it happen. Come on.
Maybe number two.
Come on. Let them play it.
Maybe when we do it next year, we can do Swarm of Ants, we can do The Master, but also we'll have 50 other movies to choose from as well.
Let them play, ref. Come on.
Not now, not
Okay.
this year.
So we're 25 minutes in already.
Yeah, I
What
told
do
you
we do?
this was going to be a long recording.
I
Uh,
know. I know.
so, uh, have you pulled up the link I sent you?
I have. It means nothing to me, but I
Okay.
have.
So yeah, I just got all the names listed here. And so the first thing we are going to do is just try and get a vibe check on this group of people. Just think about who is going to bond with who. And do you see anybody in here who do you think would be fast friends?
Well, first off, I like that everyone is listed by name except president.
He does not have a name.
Does he not even get a last name?
He does not have a name.
I assumed there was a last name that I just
I
forgotten.
I thought so too, but he does not. He is just called the president.
Okay.
And it's like,
Well, well, we know that Queer Duck and Elizabeth Taylor are at least in some way uh, uh,
they are
acquaintances,
acquaintances.
right?
Yes.
That's something.
So I put them over here in a little alliance together. Or anybody else jump out to you?
Truly, I have no idea. Probably not Lee Harvey Oswald and the president. I'm
Maybe.
just gonna, well, maybe. We don't know.
So I
Uh,
do think some I know Dinah is going to be immediately looking for someone to care for because she lost her aunt and needs somebody else to like watch after her.
so that's still canon. This is still in the interim between losing her aunt at the beginning of the movie and dying at the end of it.
Well, at the very least, her aunt's not in the house with her, so she's going to be like, "Damn, I miss my aunt. I wish somebody could take care of me." And I think Jill from When a Stranger Calls, Carol Kane, is going to
That would
be like feel for her at the very least because yeah. So I
that would
think they're
make
going to be
sense.
yeah. Um, like anybody else, like seem like immediately they'll want to partner with somebody or might not like somebody.
I truly don't know.
Okay.
I again, I see this to you. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot on here. You're the expert.
Okay. So I think we can just leave it at that. But first, we're gonna head into our first HOH competition, and Gordon, when we do that, I'm gonna have you pick just one of these people randomly.
Okay, Jay Leno.
Jay Leno. Okay. So the competition is called Ants. And I should have said, all the competitions here are named either after movies we've covered or movies that were in our priority watch lists. So just a
Okay,
fun fact there. This one's called Ants. There's a large maze in the backyard resembling an ant farm. A randomly selected player will have 8 minutes to navigate through the maze. If they complete it in time, they are safe and will select another house guest who will attempt the maze, but only have 7 minutes and 30 seconds to compete. If they complete it, they will select another house guest, again with 30 seconds left on the timer. This will continue until somebody fails to complete the maze. The last person to complete the maze successfully is the new HOH, when everyone else who completed it is safe for the week, and the person who failed and everyone who didn't get a chance to compete are potential nominees. So Jay Leno will be the first person to compete, and Jay Leno does compete it in time. So
good for him.
who do we think Jay Leno would pick next?
I
I
I
th
couldn't tell you.
I think Jay Leno picks Elizabeth Taylor because he recognizes her.
Sure. Okay.
It's like, hey, she's famous. I've interviewed her. So, uh, Elizabeth Taylor goes, and she is also safe. I think Elizabeth Taylor picks Queer Duck next, probably just because they know each other, of course, and Queer Duck is also safe. After Queer Duck, I think he's gonna pick. Do you agree with me in thinking that he's gonna pick somebody he thinks is hot?
Probably.
Who do you think he thinks is hot?
Um Frederick Forrest Lee Harvey Oswald, I remember us saying was handsome, so why
All
not?
right. Lee Harvey Oswald is next, and he fails the competition.
Oh
So,
no.
all, so Queer Duck becomes our first head of household,
Sure.
and Jay Leno and Elizabeth Taylor also safe from being evicted this week, but everybody else is now in danger. So, also, I'm just gonna write down in my notes that Queer Duck won. So, I honestly don't like that Queer Duck won because he is probably the hardest character to think about, like how he would vote strategically. Because
Sure. Yeah.
because now it's like now we got to think about like who is going to go to Queer Duck and like pitch their case like or like who's going to be like, hey, you should nominate this person because this person is giving me bad vibes. And it's like I I don't know who is going to be the best person for this job. But also, I'm just going to put Jay and Elizabeth here to signify that they are with Queer Duck. And so I think that maybe Otis is going to be somebody who's going to like try and gravitate towards the power in the house. So it's like, okay, Queer Duck wins first HOH. I'm going to try and force myself into this alliance. And anybody else like that? Anybody else a bit of a power seeker?
The president, I would say.
Yes. Honestly,
Also,
Otis and the president are probably fast friends. I
I
do,
buy it.
like Otis can be like the James Coburn type of guy.
Sure, why not?
All right. So yeah, sure. We have this alliance of five in here. And but now who do they think that they're going to start picking out? Do they go for like who they view as maybe weak players? Like maybe they go for the fucking blind girl or maybe they go for eh, maybe like Ella or Bernard or somebody who's like very by themselves, very quiet.
Once again, I defer to your
I
judgment. How does this usually go?
I want to include you. Like there can be any way to interpret it. Like you're like a lot of the people who are on Big Brother are people who don't know a thing about the show. They're just models that the production pick because they're hot. And it's just like they're thrown into this thing and it's just like okay. And I feel like Queer Duck has that very like nothing mindset where it's just like he's just going to go on pure instinct. And it's like you you are familiar with Queer Duck. You are engrossed in Queer Duck as much as I am. How who do you think he's going to dislike the most out of these characters?
I'm gonna say Lance Gowland because he's threatened by there being another strong-willed gay guy.
Okay. And who else?
I gotta think of a second thing for Queer Duck to feel.
You
I don't
gotta
know.
think of a second thing for Queer Duck to dislike out of Mike character, Michael the robot. And
I'll
one
say Mercedes rule.
okay.
For I don't have a reasoning behind it, but there you go.
All right. Lance and Kathleen are the first nominees. But yeah, and I forgot to say this earlier, but I'm having Michael trying to disguise the fact that he's a robot at first. Well, though I don't think he'll do a very good job at it.
Probably
Anyway,
not.
so Lance and Kathleen are on the block. And then we also have to pick veto players. And the way that this works on the show is that they just draw names out of a bag, and there are two like the head of household and the two nominees each draw a name out of the bag to compete in the veto competition as well. And there are also two house guest choice chips where the person who is drawing is able to just pick one of the house guests themselves. And so let me just do a couple randomizers. All right. So Queer Duck draws Elizabeth Taylor's name out of the bag. Lance Gowland picks Ella, and Kathleen picks Jill. All right, those are our veto players. And now we go to our next competition of the week. This one's called the Scorpio letters. The house
Did
guest,
we did nobody get eliminated? How
not
does
yet.
this? Okay.
So they before they get evicted, they have a chance to save themselves with the power of veto. So
Okay.
the HOH, the two nominees, and the three veto players each compete in the veto competition. Whoever wins that can take either person off the block or choose not to.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Scorpio letters. The house guests have to assemble the longest word by finding letters in a large mud pit with a limited amount of time, locking a word before the time is up. If the word does not exist or is spelled incorrectly, they are disqualified. So, and for this one, I just roll three or six d12s, and whichever is the highest number, and the number on the die represents the length of the word. So,
Okay.
Queer Duck was able to get a five-letter word. Lance Galland got a six-letter word. Kathleen got she did not get a word in time. Neither did Elizabeth Taylor. Uh, and Ella and Jill both got eight-letter words, but Jill was quicker with it. And so Jill wins the power of veto.
All
Congratulations to
right.
her.
Good for her.
Do you think she takes pity on either Lance or Kathleen and saves them from eviction this week, or does she just let things lay where they are?
I think she lets them lay where they are.
Does want to draw attention to herself? That makes
Sure.
sense. All
What
right.
are we doing here?
I so you are I'm letting because I want you to feel included. I want
No,
you
I
to
no,
make
I
the
know.
decision.
I'm just being I'm just making jokes. I'm here for this. It's just wild.
It's wild that I'm doing this for you and that I
I
wrote
just
most
think
of
sort
this
of
out.
in general.
I wrote this all out back in May and
I
I've
love that for you.
anyway. So Lance and Kathleen are the final nominees and now we think like who do these people evict? So I'm because you were so immediate with Lance, I'm gonna say that Queer Duck's able to get his alliance to go and vote against Lance to evict him. Also Elizabeth Taylor. But does everybody else want to go with Queer Duck, or does somebody like want to vote at Kathleen instead? Like maybe some of these people think that Lance could be a good asset to them. Maybe some of these people are kind of annoyed by Kathleen. And you know what? I something I'm going out there and saying is that Lee Harvey Oswald is annoyed with Kathleen. I
Sure.
I don't know why. I just think he doesn't like shrill women.
That's fair.
That's the thing I said about real life assassin Lee Harvey Oswald.
Well, he's not around to defend himself, so uh fair enough.
Thanks to Ruby of Ruby and Oswald fame.
Yeah,
Uh, Johnny, I think is also voting out Kathleen because Lance reminds him of his old army buddies and the fact that they're gay, or the fact that he's gay.
sure.
Uh, Dottie West, I think. Do you have any reads on any of these other characters? Jill,
I
Dinah,
do
Michael, Mike.
I'm sorry to say I truly do not.
Come on, Gordon, think a little.
I I'm just sort of here for the ride. I'm
Okay.
I no, I'm
All right.
I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to play this.
All right. I can just run through the rest of it then. So I think maybe Dottie votes out Kathleen, maybe just because she thinks Lance Gallen's cute, but also I think she sees him as an asset. Maybe I think Bernard sees Lance as maybe a bit of a competing threat. Michael, Michael, I don't know. I an alliance thing I've tend to do in my previous runs is that Johnny and Michael just get along. For some reason, they're just the two nicest people, and I think they just naturally drift towards each other. And
Fair.
so I think they're going to be a bit of a duo there. Uh, Mike, I think, is a misogynist, so I think he votes out Kathleen. Um, and then we have Ella, Dinah, and Jill. So there's not going to be a tie this week. And just for the record, if there is a tie, the HOH breaks it. That's the only
Okay.
time they get to vote. But so Ella, Dinah, and Jill, I think. Dinah and Jill might vote out Lance just because they don't want a woman to be the first one out. And Ella, I don't know. I'll just put her here. And so by a vote of how much is that? Three, six, 7-5, Lance Gallant is the first house guest evicted from the televised Big Brother house.
All right. And
Uh,
we do this 14 more times, you said?
uh, let me see how many weeks there are. Um, I've got 14 weeks here, so 13 more times.
Okay.
Well, actually, eh, there's some other wrinkles in there.
Okay. Fair
But
enough.
but yeah, Lance will be the first one evicted this week.
All
And
right.
and now we just move straight on to the next one. We move on to our second HOH competition. Queer Duck is not allowed to compete, and it's called Big Dreams and Broken Hearts. The house guests are asked a series of true and false questions about the lives of the other house guests. The house guest with the most correct answers wins. So, for this one, I just roll a d20 for each house guest, and I think that's 14 die. There it is. And so don't have anybody immediately jumping out ahead. Um, Johnny Bristol and Otis both are enter the tiebreaker round. They both got 16 on my die roll, and so for any tiebreaker questions like this, what I do is I roll a d20 for anybody who's in the tiebreaker, and then Uh, whoever gets closest to 15 without going over is the one who wins. Otis got a 20, Johnny got a 2, so that means Johnny Bristol wins HOH.
Yay.
Yay! Yay, Johnny Bristol, the nicest guy in the house. He
Yay.
certainly won't alienate anybody with this. All right, and we said that Michael was his alliance member. And let's rearrange all these other alliances here. We've got Elizabeth Taylor and Queer Duck and Otis and who else was there? President and Jay Leno. Yeah, they're all in a thing together. Jill and Dinah and Ella. Actually, I didn't think I said Ella Harkins was in alliance with them, but I don't know. I think she just sees Jill as a powerful woman and might just drift towards her. I don't think she's any of these people are going to be a good Charles for her or anything.
Sure.
And then Lee Harvey Oswald's a bit of a loner.
Yeah,
Dottie
that makes
West.
sense. That one tracks historically.
Mike character is interesting to me
Is he
because
now?
just because I think that like he's not going to want to be like someone who's alone, someone who's on the outs. I think he's going to try and make something. And
Sure.
but I don't know who he's going to want to get involved with. Maybe he does go for like maybe Johnny and Michael again because they won HOH. Actually, yeah, I do like that idea. So I'm going to put him over there. Gets in with them. And then we have Johnny Bristol, who I think is going to be very easily influenced in terms of his decisions. But I'm getting ahead of myself because another thing I have for this little run through is I have random events. And so what that means is at the start of each week, outside of week one, because they're just getting in there, I roll a d20 and I've just written like different things that can happen with the different characters. And I've intentionally kept those a secret because I want them to be a surprise. But for this one is going to involve you, Gordon, picking in another random house guest.
Um, fucking president.
All right. So Dinah Bellman has a vision of seeing through their eyes. This makes her wants to start a secret alliance with him.
Okay, sure.
I mean, considering he did replace Mr. Toomey, that is fitting.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, Dinah is low-key like linking up with the President of the United States.
Don't say it like that.
No, like networking, you know?
Yeah. No, I knew what you meant.
And I think Dinah just kind of look like brings Ella and Jill. So now we've got this little majority alliance here with this 8 people in a 15-person house, but none of them are in power.
Well, there you go. That's something.
So I also, for some reason, just maybe just to put loose pieces together, I think Lee and Bernard might get along. They're both twinks. They're both like they're both loners, but it's just like why be alone separately when you can be alone together?
You heard it here first, folks. Lee Harvey Oswald was a twink.
I think this is a very good thing that we're doing here.
I think it's certainly a thing that we're doing here.
Gordon, just after this, what we've done so far, do you think we'll bring this back next year?
Um, Ask me later.
Ask you at the end of the episodes. All right.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm having fun here. As much as I'm playing the antagonistic force here. I am having fun. As much as I also do not understand what's going on.
okay. Hopefully you'll pick up soon. Uh, so we have Johnny Bristol with in an alliance with Michael the Robot and Mike character. Who do they feel threatened by? Right, who do they think? Like maybe something that often happens is somebody who gets nominated once usually ends up getting nominated again. But I also think Kathleen is a bit of a she's not going to want to let that happen. And so I think she goes to Johnny Bristol and kind of maybe intimidates him, maybe just sternly talks to him, maybe convinces him, like, hey, please do not put me on the block again. I don't want to be up there again. Like, go after fucking Queer Duck.
I was gonna say Otis
Go after.
is a bad dude.
But do they know he's a bad dude? Because again, it's like,
Probably just based on like
because
being
he's,
around him.
but he's just a happy-go-lucky postman. It's like nobody disliked Otis until he killed a guy.
I feel like that personality is pretty easy to clock from the
Maybe
get-go.
I think Kathleen could probably see through it at the
Sure.
very least. But then, is Kathleen able to convince Johnny Bristol to do this, or does he trust maybe Otis a bit more? And it's like uses this as fuel against Kathleen rather than for her.
What do you think?
I'm asking you.
I
I want to
I
get your brain juices flowing.
um can you repeat the question?
So, Kathleen has just tried to convince Johnny Bristol that Otis is a bad guy, and rather than just nominating Kathleen again because it's easy, he should nominate Otis, or you had said Otis, but just like anybody from that kind of power group. Uh, does Johnny like take this bait? It's just like to like maybe take pity on her or believe that it's like, oh, yeah, we should go after these power players, or just kind of meekly go for like the easy route and nominate a person who's already been nominated and then just some other easy target.
I'd say he believes her,
Okay.
I guess.
So yeah, we can probably put up Otis and then maybe put up Queer Duck just because he was that first HOH.
Sure.
All right. Those are our nominees, Otis and Queer Duck. And then now we pick veto players. Again, I just use a random number generator for this. So Johnny Bristol draws a house guest choice chip. I think he's going to probably pick. Who does he trust more? Or who does he think is going to be a bigger competitive threat? And like, I don't think he doesn't know Michael's a robot, but it's like, does he just see like Michael as a large guy? But Mike is also a large guy. I just realized we have Mike and Michael both on this season. I had never really thought about that. But
What am I choosing here for?
uh so Johnny Bristol gets to choose somebody to play in the veto. Oh, and I feel like he's going to choose somebody he's aligned with, my character and Michael the android. So,
I'll
but
say Michael.
Michael the android. All
Sure.
right. And then Otis draws Otis draws Mike from back, so it doesn't really matter. And then Queer Duck picked out Bernard. All right. These are veto players. It's all men, which is certainly fun. Um, and now we go to our veto competition, playing with fire. The house guests sit inside a very hot room, separated from each other. They have no idea how long they've been in the room, but must leave it before an hour is up. The house guest who leaves the room closest to an hour without going over wins. So part of me is thinking that Michael might just win this just because he probably has an internal clock. But also part of me wants, do you think that, or do you think,
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
all right, then I won't even bother rolling the die. We'll just give this one to Michael. It's just like he can leave exactly an hour and nobody will probably question it. Good
Yeah.
job, Michael. You
Good
you
job, Michael.
you were certainly lucky on that one. And I think Michael just does not use the veto, of course, because he's in alliance with the HOH, wants to leave his nominations the same. And so let me just write all this down. But while I do that, Gordon, do you have any idea or any guesses as to who people will vote for?
Uh, Once again, I'm pretty sure my answer on this is no, not really.
Come on. Who do you think is like going to be more like so you essentially have like who do people think
I don't even remember my options.
it's don't don't you have the thing open? Like doesn't it update for you?
It has not updated since the vote between Lance and Kathleen. Nope, never mind. It just updated. I just had to refresh it, but I also it
I
had not updated until just now.
oh I thought I updated live. Dang. Oh well.
No, I got to refresh the page at least so far.
All right.
Um,
But yeah, I have Otis and Queer Duck here and so essentially it's like who like first of all Otis and Queer Duck can like pitch their cases to people like is anybody going to be more easily swayed like probably by Otis. Like I feel like Queer Duck's gonna be very defeatist about it, while Otis is like putting in work. Like, hey, I can be useful to you. Please let me stay. And
I feel like Queer Duck is not above playing the card of do you want your first two people eliminated to be the two gay guys?
oh my God, that's
So
good.
I think he's gonna play that card.
Who
Uh,
who's gonna be swayed by that? I think Elizabeth Taylor
yeah,
is gonna respect that, and I think even Jay Leno might wanna.
for on account of he's a real public figure and would not want that to like look bad for him as a public figure. So
And meanwhile, I think Lee Harvey Oswald is swayed by Otis. I think maybe even Otis is seeing that like his alliance is kind of going against him, leaning more towards Queer Duck. So he and the president can take take their take their shit over to Lee Harvey Oswald and Bernard.
yeah, no, yeah, you're not wrong.
Um, Dottie West, I think gets bad vibes from Otis, and we know Kathleen already did. Um, let's see. Honestly, it I think since Johnny Bristol did believe like Kathleen, like, hey, we got to get out these power players, I think they might view Otis as more of a threat. And so I think Dinah, Ellen, Jill just get bad vibes from Otis already.
Yeah, I believe that.
So in a vote of 9-3, Otis is evicted from the Big Brother house. He is our second person out, due
Yay.
to people not wanting to be homophobic and also because Otis has bad vibes. All right, week 3. The HOH competition is the Langoliers. Prior to the competition, the house guests had been given a catapult type device to practice on. In this, they have to launch a ball designed to look like a Langolier into a field of numbered spaces. Highest number wins. And I'll just say for competitions like this, Dinah is at least like pointed where to go. It's like she's not going to be like completely in the dark with things like this. She is given proper aids to like help her to help even the playing field considering she is blind.
That's fair.
All right. And so for this, uh, I will generate like what each house guest gets in their role, and then whoever gets the best one wins. All right. So Queer Duck gets 8 points. Lee Harvey Oswald gets five. Very low score so far. The president gets 19 and is currently in the lead. Bernard gets 11. Elizabeth Taylor gets 22 and takes the lead. Jay Leno takes 26 and is now in the lead. Dottie West gets 20. Kathleen gets 12. Michael gets 11. Mike character gets 14. M did I just say Michael or Mike character?
You said both of them.
Okay. Then Dinah gets 36. Maybe those aids were a bit too helpful. Nope. Ella gets 49. Thank God. And Jill gets 43. So Ella becomes our new head of household. Congratulations to
Yay.
her.
Yay for Harkins.
Yay for Harkins, the theater I work at. Maybe I shouldn't say that on this podcast, I'm realizing, but it's
Who
too late now.
cares? What's gonna happen?
So I think Dinah is still working with the president secretly, who is still working with, well, I guess not working with Otis anymore, but is at least has found new allies in Lee Harvey Oswald and Bernard, the random German man who's in here. Oh, this is really fun house already. All right, let me just reorganize everybody else into their alliances. And then, yeah. So already we had a major alliance broken up and reformed and formed again. So, uh, just need to write down Ella won the HOH. I also roll for an event. 11. Mike character has found that ants have infiltrated the house and he isolates himself for a week. So, what that means is essentially he's not going to be trying to play the game all too much because he is terrified by the ants.
That makes sense. Those are some pretty scary ants.
Yeah. I Part of me felt like I could hear you get maybe a bit excited by the idea that maybe your swarm of ants was entering the house, but no, not as a player.
Boo.
I'm so sorry that you had to find out this way.
You should be.
I am.
Yay.
All right. Strategy. So I think Ella, Jill, and Dinah are a pretty tight-knit group here. Who do they view as like how who do they view as like getting rid of them is going to be the best way for them to move forward in this game? Because I feel like at the very least with Jill there, she's going to be like thinking very strategically and be like kind of puppeting Ella. Maybe not
Um,
puppeting. Puppeting might be a harsh word, but
Maybe Jay Leno. I feel like they have reason to not like him.
what reason?
He's Jay Leno. He's
But do
probably
they
done.
do they view him as a threat or do they view him as just like he can't fucking do anything?
I mean, I would say they probably view him as just like annoying vis-a-vis Jay
Or
Leno.
do they also put up Queer Duck because he's also annoying?
I think there's still some resentment from the previous week of like we don't want to
We we
like
don't we don't want to piss off Glad.
yeah, we got to play it safe. We can't just like okay, well the third eliminate like they know it's just gonna happen every time.
Oh, Otis Pete Hazelrick is a gay name as is. Like he's probably closeted.
I mean, you never know.
Uh, okay, so do they put up like maybe Kathleen as an easy one, or do they just not want to put up a woman and maybe put up like Michael or Mike or Johnny?
How about Mike?
Mike,
I feel like you established they don't like him.
yeah. I did say he was a misogynist, but now thinking back to the movie, maybe he wasn't. I think he's
I
just kind of a
I
guy.
Yeah.
But
He,
hey, in this world, he is.
sure, why
He's
not?
he's from the 70s. He's definitely going to be at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jay Leno and Mike Character are our current nominees now. And now we also pick players for the veto. Let's see. Uh, so go down to 14. All right. So Ella draws Dinah's name from the bag. Jay picks Elizabeth Taylor, and Mike gets house guest choice, and I think he picks Michael.
Sure.
All right, Dinah, Elizabeth, and Michael compete in our Animal Olympics veto competition. The veto players are at a starting line. When the announcer says go, they have to run over and hit the button. However, the announcer is saying a lot of words that sound like go before and afterwards, so they have to listen closely. Last one to hit the button in each round is eliminated. If you jump before the word go is said, you are eliminated. Last player standing wins. So I have predetermined like different dice for each player. Like uh, D4 are going to be players who are doing worse in this. D12 is going to be, of course, higher. Nobody gets a D20 because that's a bit too unbalanced. But we get just going to load up the dice here. Gordon, who do you think is going to win this competition?
I spaced out for half a second. Who is this between?
You can refresh it. I have them all up at the top there.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. It has not refreshed.
Oh,
It has not updated since before voting between Otis and Queer Doc.
damn, that's weird because I've been like it's I'm s- it was weird because I tested this out before and it was like updating live and everything. That's weird. Anyway, so we have Ella, Jay, Mike Character, Dinah, Elizabeth Taylor, and Michael the Android.
And I'm saying who wins it?
Just like who you think is going to win because I do have like a preset like dice thing here. But
Um,
who are your guesses?
well, I feel like Michael, as established, is good at things and can hear good, can hear words good,
Can run fast, maybe.
run fast, yeah. And maybe the psychic kid has some sort of psychic stuff going on as far as, you know, knowing when people are going to say the right words or not.
Well, it I will say that at least when I was imagining this competition, it wasn't like there is a physical announcer who's right there. It's like this is like a pre-recorded thing.
Fair.
Anyway, here we go. So in round one of the competition, Elizabeth Taylor is eliminated. Round two, Michael is eliminated.
Oh no.
He had the best chance of winning.
No.
In round three, Jay Leno is eliminated. He's not saving himself. In round four, Mike Character is eliminated. It is between Ella and Dinah. And oh, Ella Harkins has won the power of veto. She's the first character this season to win both HOH and the veto the same week.
Yay. Good
Go
for
her.
her.
Now, so we shouldn't just immediately say that like, oh, she's like they're just going to immediately like of course she wouldn't use the veto because like oh like she put them up in the first place because maybe uh Jay Jay Leno or Mike Character have a case for themselves and it's like hey maybe they go together it's like hey you should put up this person instead. Uh, do you think of anybody who they might target or maybe just one or the other might target?
Um, I truly don't know.
Okay.
Who do you think?
Here, I'll give you just like what I think their reasonings might be, and you can help me see if like Ella might be convinced by either of them. So I think Mike Character, he's going to be like, hey, we like even though Johnny Bristol won
Wait,
H
isn't he in ant quarantine?
Oh, true, true. So he's not going to be defending himself. That's right. I forgot
Yeah,
about that. Thank you. So Mike is too scared of the ants to really defend himself. But Jay Leno is like, hey, you should take me off the block because Mike is this big, strong guy who's going to just steamroll the competition. Just please take me off. I don't want to be next to him. Yeah, I might lose, even though everybody should vote for him anyway. I, I can't imagine a good thing that Jay Leno could say, honestly.
yeah, yeah.
He's
I
even though he is like a big like talk show host, I don't think he's going to be very convincing to anybody,
that
especially with how he's characterized
tracks.
in the late shift. Did you say
Yeah,
what'd you say?
I said yeah.
I thought I heard like Travis or something like that.
No, no,
I
just yeah.
okay. Anyway, so I don't think Ella uses the veto, so Jay and Mike are still the final nominees. Um, let's see. So, who do you think people will vote out? Are they more annoyed by Jay, or do they think Mike is more like too much of a physical threat to let stay in the house?
Um, am I going individually or can I just sort of speak by majority at this point?
Well, we and at least like think about like the different alliances. Like we can probably say at the very least like Queer Duck and Elizabeth Taylor are going to vote out Mike because Jay's in their alliance. We
Yeah.
know Johnny and Michael are with Mike, so they're going to vote out him. But like Dottie and Kathleen, who would they go out for? What about the HOH alliance here?
Um,
Like Jill, Dinah, President Liam
I
Bernard are kind of an alliance thing.
I would say they would probably end up voting out Mike.
You think that's like the physical thing's going to be a big thing?
Yeah, sure, why not? We'll go with that.
I like that I'm putting words in your mouth.
I mean that I implore you to. I give you full permission to over the course of this.
Honestly, I'm not going to bother just placing all those names over there. It's going to be a 2-9 vote. Is that right? Yep, 2-9 vote. Uh, Evicting Mike character. Sorry that you had to deal with the ants, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
We wanted to be just like him. Anyway, on to week 4. The HOH competition is the Hanged Man. The house guests will hang onto a pole with a small platform to stand on for as long as possible. The poles are attached to a machine that swings the house guests around in a circle. Last house guest holding on wins. So, this is one of those competitions where I am going to flip a coin to see if Michael wins it. And he does. Michael
Yay.
wins. Go,
Yay.
Michael. We love you. Maybe. I don't know. Do you love Michael?
I do.
All right, then I hope you're happy
I am.
now that you're choosing this. That's a wicked reference for anyone who didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I got it.
It took you a while.
I I I have seen the play once and the movie and have not listened to any of the soundtrack individually since then, so it took me a second, but I got it.
All right.
There we go.
You know, before we get into anything else, I've been seeing Kathleen and Dottie just kind of both be on their own a little bit, and
Yeah, haven't really talked much about them at all.
I'm just putting them closer together. It's just because they're so one of the main terminology in Big Brother is called floaters. It's like they're people who don't really make any power decisions. They aren't winning competitions really. They just kind of float along in the game and just don't really do too much. And that's Kathleen and Dottie. They're just off to the side. Nobody really cares about them. Nobody wants to take them out because they're just a bit too easy. Not in that way.
Yeah, no, I got what you mean. That
Uh,
makes sense.
But yeah, so Michael and Johnny, they just lost Mr. Mike character. How are they feeling right now? Do they want to take vengeance on Ella? Or actually, first we need to roll for an event. Uh, bu- 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 9. This is a new one. Um, Johnny Bristol realizes Charles Vermont has never existed. He isolates himself for a week. Oh
Ah,
boy, Michael is on his own.
poor Michael. He did
Oh,
just win though, so
yeah, he's fine, but like he's gonna have to make these decisions himself, or at the very least, he's gonna be very susceptible to perhaps a lot of people going up to him and saying, "Hey, evict these people."
he is pretty susceptible to things as per the movie.
And so I think what happens here is a very unfortunate thing where Michael is going to get duped by the kind of majority alliance here with Jill, Ella, Dinah, President Bernard, and Lee. Uh, they're going to be like, "Hey, you should get out Kathleen and Dottie because they're not doing shit. Just like, just kick them to the curb. Just fucking do it, Michael, you piece of shit."
I
And
believe it.
and he's like, "Okay," like the fucking John Mulaney Delta bit.
Yes.
I'm just taking the reins here. I feel bad, but I know
No,
that's
it's
also what you're saying you want me to do.
yes, it's not like I'm out here really fighting for my voice to be heard about this sort of stuff. I'm here for the ride and enjoying it. I feel the need to continuously repeat as much as I am playing a little
You
whatever.
as
I am enjoying it.
while you might be lost, you're still having fun while along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm here for color commentary. I'm here for the occasional input. It's all good.
So Kathleen and Dottie are our current nominees, and now we just gonna quickly get some veto players in here. So we have all right. So Michael gets house guest choice. Do you think he still picks Johnny Bristol, or because of the Charles Vermont stuff, does he maybe just pick someone else, even though there's nobody else in his alliance? I think he has
Uh,
to pick Johnny, maybe.
sure. Yeah.
It's like, hey, come play with us. Maybe it'll help you forget about Charles Vermont. And then Kathleen picks out President from the bag, and Dottie gets house guest choice. Now, Dottie West isn't aligned with anybody, so or she is kind of aligned with Kathleen, but she's also on the block. So who the hell is she going to pick to maybe play for her? Or maybe is she going to pick somebody like Queer Duck who she thinks might just lose the competition, give herself a better chance?
Um, I think if she wants someone that she thinks might lose the competition, she'll probably go for the blind kid.
Blind Kid or Queer Duck?
Blind kid.
Blind Kid. Okay. Dinah's going to the veto competition. All right. So, uh, the veto competition is bad education. The house guests have a bin of report cards with the letter F on them. On the other side of a balance beam is a mailbox for each house guest. The house guests will try to put their cards into the other house guests' mailboxes. When a mailbox fills up, that house guest is eliminated. Last house guest without a filled mailbox wins. So for this one, I don't even have any dice to roll. This one is one where it's very much about strategy. And so it's like, who do we think each person is going to be targeting? Like, first of all, Johnny and Dinah are Johnny's not going to be playing very hard. Dinah is not going to be able to get across the balance beam very well. Like even if they did like get rails for her or something as like a mobility aid, it's like I still think she's probably going to be pretty slow because she is a child. So it's pretty
Yeah.
much between Michael, Kathleen, Dottie, and the president. And Michael probably like I think he might he might not go like robot super fast mode, but he's still going to be like very good at this. And so
Yeah.
it might be a wipeout, just like Michael. And again, the president, fucking Phil Hartman, is not going to be doing too hot.
I agree. Yeah.
But
I think
also,
Michael seems like a good call for a winner.
but here's the thing. So Kathleen and Dottie are still going to be while they're still in the competition, they're still going to be probably targeting Michael because he's the HOH. He's definitely probably not going to be the one taking them off the block. So Michael still might end up eliminated from the competition just due to their efforts. And also, once Kathleen and Dottie are eliminated, you still have President and kind of Dinah targeting him. So I think that might be enough to, at the very least, eliminate Michael at some point later on, because nobody's really going to go after President here,
Yeah.
and nobody's going to go after Johnny here.
Yeah.
So maybe Johnny, no, Johnny Bristol wouldn't win it, but here's the order of operations. Here, the elimination order I'm imagining here. Kathleen and Dottie both go out first. And then I think maybe Michael goes out third or fourth. But I think in his last moments, he's going to be targeting President. And then
Sure.
I'm thinking maybe Dinah could win this because nobody's going to be targeting her. Meanwhile, she's still slowly making her way back and forth, still getting some cards into mailboxes. And I think she might be able to knock out President or Michael, whoever's still going to be left. And then just pitifully, when it's just Dinah and Johnny left, she's going to slowly just get him out, and he does not care about this competition at all.
Sure. I'll buy that.
All right. So Dinah wins the power of veto.
Yay.
The blind kid won the competition with a balance beam.
Yay. Well, her senses are heightened elsewhere.
Yep.
Something.
She's a very smart cookie.
Yeah.
And then so but also this doesn't really matter in the end because Dinah's not going to use this. Her alliance put those two people on the block in the first place. Like, and it's not like Kathleen or Dottie could convince her when she's got like Jill and the president in her ear and Ella just being like, well, maybe not Ella. Ella's not going to be doing too much, but she's going to be there. Anyway, I I don't think it's worth even discussing like, oh, Dinah should use the veto or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, final nominees are Kathleen and Dottie. So this is going to be a very interesting one as maybe not very interesting, but it's going to be hard to determine who gets evicted here
Yeah.
because neither of them have been doing too much. I know Kathleen was the only thing is that Kathleen was nominated week one, and then she was able to convince uh Johnny Bristol not to put her up in week two, I think that was.
I
Week
feel
two.
like Kathleen is a less personable
Yeah.
person, I guess.
Yeah,
I feel
she,
like Dottie can at least appeal more to the people around her.
yeah. I think yeah. Kathleen's gonna be a bit on edge to be put up again, and like there's not gonna be much. She's gonna let her emotions take the reins, and with nobody in her alliance, it might be a unanimous vote to get her out. Like what is that? It's 10 votes for Kathleen. Yeah,
Sure.
10-0 vote for Kathleen. All right. But the week's not quite over yet because I have another twist up my sleeve.
Oh ho ho.
Sometimes when you're evicted from the Big Brother house, you're not always evicted forever. We have a battle back competition where our first four evicted house guests have a chance to come back into the house, and they are going to be playing in broad daylight. The four evicted house guests have pieces of a large 3D jigsaw type puzzle, which will construct a dome around themselves. The house guest to build the dome the quickest gets to re-enter the game. And so, just for refresher, this is Lance Gowland, Otis P. Hazelrig, Mike Character, and Kathleen Karangi, who are all competing against each other for this. And it is a fucking wipeout. Kathleen is immediately back into the house
Well, there you go.
after being evicted unanimously. Oh man. Nothing has changed, yet everything has changed.
Yeah. I mean, who's to say what will
All right.
happen?
So, this next competition with Kathleen back in is the late shift. The house guests each hold down a button. whoever holds down the button the longest wins. It is an endurance competition, and this is a very famous like Big Brother competition. It's called the pressure cooker on the show. Oh, and it's like it usually takes like 15, 16 hours for it to get done. And it's like I think Kathleen has just way more resolve than anyone else here to do something like this. Like
Sure.
I don't think, and especially since Michael is not eligible to compete since he was just HOH. Like, yes, he's a robot. He could probably win it, but Kathleen is going to take it.
Good for her.
And she has Dottie still in her corner because they never went against each other. But it's Kathleen against the world right now. Oh, who the fuck is she gonna blame here? Wait,
I don't
first let me roll
know.
for an event. Um, 16. That's for Lance Gowan. He is already evicted, but I'll just say that. So you had already insisted that like the house knew he was gay, but I thought he would have hidden it, and so his secret event was that he revealed to the house that he's gay.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't really think about if that was going to affect anything. I just thought it was a fun it was the only thing I could think of for him as like a fun thing to happen.
That's fair.
Anyway, um so back to Kathleen. Who the fuck does she hate right now? Because
I
like
mean, probably everyone.
definitely everyone, but
I
so
think
we
she hates Dinah because she put her up as an easy target to lose, and then she won. And also, it reminds her of her own kid, who I think she hates. I don't remember.
yeah, it's like well she does like Gia.
I couldn't tell you a thing about this character. I
Uh,
remember absolutely nothing other than the fact that it's Mercedes Rule. I
just
don't know why she's here.
I'm sorry, okay?
No, I'm
I
not. I'm not
I
saying that to
really
you. Just like,
like the idea of including her because I was more impacted by her character, I guess.
yeah, I remember absolutely nothing from her.
I like she's just this very big brash mom who's just like, like she is like a stage mom, but also like Gia doesn't talk to her much, but she still follows her daughter's career, but she also kind of resents her daughter for a lot of things. It was a tough and like Gia had a rough childhood with her, but it's like they're kind of mending things. It's like it's a very intricate relationship there. And I thought,
Sure.
but yeah, here she's just kind of right now she is out for a vengeance. And but
Sorry,
let's
did you just say revengeance?
no, I said out for a vengeance.
Can you have a vengeance? Is that a noun that
I
you can
don't
have
know. I
individually?
don't speak well. You should know this by now.
Fair.
But yeah, I'm thinking so I'm just going to like recap like Queer Duck was the first person to put her on the block with like Elizabeth and Jay in his corner with also Otis and the president. And then when she got put on the block this time, it was technically Michael doing it, but I feel like she could probably see that uh, this major alliance here with Jill, Ella, Dinah, President Bernard, and Lee, maybe like controlling things for him. And I think maybe, like, I don't even think she would blame Michael. I think maybe at first, I think the only common person between both of these is the president of the United States. So I think she's probably going to nominate him.
Sure.
And then you said you said that she might nominate Dinah just because she didn't use the veto on her.
That and also I mean, am I wrong? Wasn't she the one that put her up to be the competitor for that challenge, thinking that she would lose and then she won? I don't
Oh,
remember.
oh yeah. Wait. Yes. No. Dottie was the one who picked Dinah.
Okay, well, never mind.
I don't know, but sure, she can put up Dinah on the block. I there's there's lots of people she could put up, but. Like she could put up Ella or Jill or Bernard or Lee. Actually, probably not Bernard or Lee. I don't think if I were in this house, I don't think I would be able to clock that Lee Harvey Oswald and Bernard, whatever his last name is, would are part of this major alliance. But at the
Yeah,
very least, you could probably clock that maybe the president and Dinah had some connection there.
sure.
God, it is just so it is still funny to me that that one of the random events that came up is that Dinah is now psychically linked with the president of the United States.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Have you seen that one Elvis meme or Elvis
Yes,
tweet?
yeah.
For those listening, it's like it's Charles Xavier or and uh Elvis, and it's just like Elvis, do you hear me? My name's Charles. I'm your biggest fan. What? There's a little boy in my brain.
Good stuff. Oh God.
Anyway, uh, now we pick for veto.
We still
Uh,
have 12 more of these to do.
yep. I told you before, like we can take a break like in between any of these weeks if you
It's
feel
all
you need
good.
it.
It's fine.
Okay, so Kathleen draws Ella from the bag. President gets his pick of a person. Who do you think he'll pick?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll just say he picks Lee Harvey Oswald, and then
Sure.
Dinah picks Michael from the bag. All right. The veto competition is Pirates of Silicon Valley. Oh, wait, first I have to write down things. Actually, I'll read through the veto competition, then write things down. House guests have each have an oversized microchip that they have to hide somewhere in the house. After each one hides their chip, they take turns going into the house to find the other player's microchips and bringing it back. Whoever's chip is found last wins. And so something I didn't write down there, but they when they find a microchip, they don't know who it belongs to. They just know they found one. So they might be bringing back their alliance members, but they wouldn't know it. Bu- 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 bum. Sorry, just writing a few more things down. So it's going to take place in a few rounds. In so the first microchip found is found by Kathleen, and Michael has been eliminated. In round two, uh, that is Ella has found Kathleen's microchip. In round three, oh, and I should also say that the the microchips that are found aren't revealed until the very end. So people who have been quote unquote eliminated, as I'm saying it, aren't actually eliminated. They're still going to be searching for other microchips. They don't know that they're already out. Uh,
Gotcha.
so third microchip is found by Michael, and it belongs to the president. The next microchip is found by Michael again, and he finds Dinah's. The next one is found by Kathleen, and she finds it's between Ella or Lee. She finds Ella's. And so Lee Harvey Oswald has won the power of veto. And so
Yay.
this is actually incredibly interesting because there is a lot of good strategy that he could be doing here. Because Lee is technically in an alliance with the president and Dinah. However, as we just said earlier, that I don't think the other house guests have really clocked or have really tuned into the fact that they are in an alliance together. And by using the veto, it would immediately out that. And of course, Mr. President wants him to use it on him. Dinah probably wants him to use it on her. But is he going to put himself out there like that?
Probably not.
I think that's a good choice, Gordon. I'm glad you're thinking strategically.
Thank you. Very invested.
All right. So let me just write down that Lee Harvey Oswald has one, and he does not use the veto. Uh, and President and Dinah are nominated still. All right. So who do you think is going to get voted out here? Like, walk me through some of these alliances, like some of these groupings here. Like, for example, uh, like Queer Duck, Jay Leno, and Elizabeth Taylor. Who do you think they're going to vote out?
The president.
President of the United States. Hell yeah. And then maybe like Michael and Johnny Bristol.
Um,
Honestly, because Johnny Bristol works for like is a military guy and Michael was almost sold to the government and I think maybe they actually vote out Dinah.
sure.
And then we have Lee Harvey Oswald and Bernard and also so Jill and Ella are definitely going to vote out president. Do we think that Lee Harvey Oswald and Bernard vote out Dinah or do they vote out the president?
Um, Once again, what do you think?
Okay. I I honestly think that I think they are closer to Mr. President, and I think they might just vote out Dinah because
Sure.
they don't care about the blind girl. They just want to win. And then we have Dottie West, who can either force a tie or just get the president out here and now.
Let's get the president out of here. She
All right.
probably has reasons.
Yeah, I feel like she's gonna be like Elizabeth Taylor and kind of feel for the blind girl. Wants to let her keep playing.
Yeah,
So
why not?
So that's a 4-6 vote against the president. And sorry to
Bye.
lose you, Phil Hartman. 6-4. All right. 12 people remain.
Yep.
And we are an hour and a half in.
Yep.
Like I told you, this is going to be a long recording, but
Yep.
it'll get faster as we go along because like as there are less and less people, there's a lot less thinking we have to do.
I'll take your word for
All right. Next HOH competition is Riot. House guests are standing against a wall and must hang onto the wall as long as possible. The wall occasionally shakes with things like cold water and paint being shot at them on occasion.
it.
Uh,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, this is a Big Brother classic.
I just
Big.
mean as far as using that relative to the movie Riot.
Oh, sorry. It's just like it's just a. It was the only thing I could really think of. Well,
No,
I
that's fair. I was not expecting that.
sorry.
It's fine.
Okay, you made me think like it might have been insensitive.
No, it just took me by surprise.
Sorry.
No, you're
Anyway,
fine.
uh, so let's see. Uh, wait, I need to I need to flip a coin first because Michael's competing, but Michael loses. Maybe
No.
because of the water. Who knows? I don't know if he
Yeah,
was made to be waterproof actually.
I don't remember.
Anyway, so let us roll some dice. Um, oh yeah, I have to get a lot of dice up for this one. Gordon, fill time.
Um, Hi everyone. I hope you're enjoying this so far. I'm still pretty lost, all things considered, but I'm having a good time. It's light, it's easy. You know, it is what it is. But I'm here and I'm still filling time.
Uh,
Uh
who are
how,
your
how
who are your winner picks right now?
I feel like on a meta level, I'm rooting for either Dinah or Queer Duck just because like I think that's the funniest option.
In one of my test runs I did have that as a final two.
Well, there we go.
And and actually I think I've had them as a final two twice, and one time Dino won and one time Queer Duck won.
Uh
Though I to be clear, I have run through this a lot.
It's fair. Yeah, what do we got?
I'm still loading up dice. I'm almost done though.
Okay.
Bu- Yeah, I never found a good way to like speed up this process, especially for this competition.
How
But
many dice? Like what
so I have
sides
a
dice?
dice for each person, and it's like it's different dice. So I have to like look at a list and pick the dice, and look at a list,
Okay,
pick the dice.
fair.
Uh, and now I just lost track. Okay, I'm there. Uh, just got two more people. Okay, so we're ready. And so gonna it's another one where it's like each round, the lowest roll in each die is gonna be whoever gets eliminated. And so first person to drop is Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yay.
Boo. I want him to win. I don't know. Next person to drop is Dottie West.
Yay.
After that is Bernard.
Yay.
After that, ooh, a lot of drops all at once. We've got Queer Duck, Jay Leno, and Elizabeth Taylor all dropping.
Yay.
Is that yay? I thought you liked some of those.
I'm just sort of saying that for everyone
I
at
know.
this point. I don't know. I got nothing else to say.
Oh, and I'll just say that this was another one where I flipped a coin to see if Michael won, and he did not. So he dropped
You
at
all
some point.
you already said that.
Okay, just making sure I did. Uh, I this happens in every facet of my life. I always forget things I say. Like at work when I'm scooping popcorn, I always have to ask people twice if they want butter because I
That
always
makes
forget the
sense.
first time. Ella drops,
Yay.
and then between Johnny Bristol and Jill Johnson, Jill is the new HOH.
A character that I forgot was still in it.
Yeah.
There's so many people on this list that have played zero factor into this so
Well,
far.
Jill has been a very big power player with Ella and Dinah actually. It's like, yeah, I don't think she's won anything thus far until this, but she's still like a player. Like she's been in people's ears. She's been puppeting things, but now she gets to take center stage, just do whatever she wants.
And what does ever she want?
First we got to roll for an event.
Well,
Oh, I'm
okay.
so glad I got this one. I just rolled a one, which means, oh wait, fuck, he just got evicted. It was for the
No.
president. I just simply wrote down the president has decided to go Andrew Jackson, and I'm just gonna let that figure out whatever that meant.
Oh boy.
But I just thought that's a fun thing to have as a natural one.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter because he's already out of the house. Oh well. Um. So so as we have established, Jill, Ella, and Dinah, and then well, actually, I don't know where they stand with Bernard and Lee because he did like Lee Harvey Oswald did not use the veto. So it's like maybe they have a tentative alliance, but it's definitely not as close as it used to be. But then we have Queer Duck, Elizabeth Taylor, and Jay Leno. Michael and Johnny are still together. And then Kathleen was evicted and came back, and I she might still be pissed off. She did just put Dinah on the block. Jill might not be a big fan of that. Um, do you think Kathleen goes up?
Sure. Why not?
Sure, why not? Okay. Who do you think goes Jill puts up next to her? Anybody else that she might view as a big threat that like she wants to get out of the house? Like, does she cut things off officially and put Lee Harvey Oswald up, or maybe she goes after Michael, who's already proven to be a bit of a competitive threat, even if she doesn't know he's a robot, or maybe
Sure,
she,
let's say Michael for those reasons.
or she could put up like Queer Duck as like an easy way to get Kathleen out, because who's gonna bother voting for Queer Duck? Or
Sure.
do you go
I
to Michael?
I I don't know. What do you think?
I gave you the option, so you could like Like think.
I know. You gave me an option. I picked one, and then you said, "But what about someone else?"
No, but I was in the middle of giving
Okay.
options when you said that.
Well, what was the one that I said?
Well, you picked multiple. First, you said put Michael up because he's a big competitive threat. Then you said put Queer Duck up because he's an easy one to put up, and she wants to target Kathleen.
Let's just say Michael because that's the one I said first.
Okay, we'll do Michael. So Jill has put up Kathleen and Michael. Right. And now we need to also get some veto players. Let's see. How many people are in this house? 12. So Jill draws Johnny Bristol from the bag. Kathleen gets Bernard. And Michael gets house guest choice, which he can't even pick Johnny Bristol because he was already picked. So who do you think Michael might pick? Who do you think he's closest to outside of Johnny?
Um,
Lee Harvey Oswald, Dottie West, Queer Duck, Elizabeth
I,
Taylor, Jay Leno.
Jay Leno, sure,
Jay Leno. Get up here, Jay. Go
sure, why
go
not?
compete in something. Uh so the veto competition is the Second Civil War. Uh, the players stand on a chessboard. On each turn, they'll make a move like a knight, moving 2 steps in one direction and 1 step perpendicular, with with their previous space becoming impossible to land on after that. If a player has no legal moves, they are out of the competition. Last player standing wins. All right. So just need to load up a few dice here. Only a few. Who do you think of these people are best at chess, Gordon? Between Jill, Kathleen, Michael, Johnny Bristol, Bernard, and Jay Leno.
Michael on account of we know robots do chess good. We know that.
But is Michael
That's like
programmed
what
to do chess?
he's robot.
But that doesn't mean that
It doesn't mean he doesn't though.
crazy Doctor Christopher Plummer put chess into him.
Doesn't mean it didn't though.
But did he? That's what I'm asking. Did he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're the one who's the big fan of the movie, so I defer to you on all things prototype.
You don't remember the extended 20-minute sequence where they played just like a unbroken, uninterrupted, silent game of chess?
Well, I wouldn't have thought it'd be that long considering, Michael wiped the floor with him.
Oh yeah, but they played it a lot of times.
It just just imagine it's 20 minutes, but like every minute is just Christopher Plummer losing. It's just like, fuck, let's play again. They reset. Fuck, let's play again. Just
That's how it
over and over.
goes.
And
That's how it is.
that's how he learned to view Michael as his son.
Yeah.
The son he never had.
Okay, what are we doing next in the game?
All right, so I'm
What's
I'm
next?
currently rolling the dice to see who gets eliminated from the competition and who eventually wins. So Jay Leno is the first one eliminated. Next is Kathleen. Next eliminated is Michael. Next eliminated is Jill. And now we are between Johnny Bristol and Bernard. And Johnny Bristol wins, which is actually the perfect outcome for Michael here. Because what this means is Johnny can take his bestie off the block and nobody is going to and they can't just put Johnny up as a replacement, just like because he's Michael's best friend. So they actually have to think outside the box on this one. Like, who do we want to go with Queer Duck? It's just like Jill's just like, okay, I just want to get Kathleen out of here. Let's get her out. Get her back out.
Sure.
All right. So we can put up Queer Duck. Or she might even put up Dottie West again because that's what got her out last time.
I mean, if we're understanding that the outcome is the same either way, I don't know if it matters the most who is put up against her.
It does because I'm writing this all down.
Okay, fair. Who do you think then?
Uh, you know, I think I think Dottie West goes up just because this exact same matchup happened last time. And it's just like, we know this got her evicted the first time. Let's just get her evicted again. And so I think it's another, maybe not, I think it's 9-0 vote this time, but unanimous vote to get Kathleen out because we got her out, they brought her back, and now we just have to fucking evict her again. Uh,
Yay.
and now we enter the jury phase of the game, which means that Kathleen is not part of the jury. She is sent straight home, but everybody who's evicted in the next few weeks is going to be the people who are deciding who wins at the end of the game. So, just a recap of who is still playing. We have Jill Johnson from When a Stranger Calls Back. We have Dottie West from Big Dreams and Broken Hearts, Dottie West story. Ella Harkins from Evening Primrose. Dinah Bellman from The Langoliers. Johnny Bristol from Welcome Home, Johnny Bristol. Michael from Prototype. Lee Harvey Oswald from Ruby and Oswald. Uh, Bernard Bernard Lutz, I think his name is, from The Million Game. Queer Duck from Queer Duck the movie, Elizabeth Taylor from Liz and Dick, and Jay Leno from The Late Shift.
For those keeping track, we are over 100 minutes into this, and we've eliminated 5 people.
Yes, but like I said, this will get
Technically, we've done 6 eliminations, but one of them came back and was also eliminated. So that was another like 10, 15 minutes rendered entirely moot.
sorry, but we still got rid of the president in that time.
Yes.
Anyway, but also like in the first time we did this, like this is where one, Christoph and I took a break, and then also this is like that this was like the halfway what ended up being like the halfway point, if not a bit less, like only an hour after this on the first recording.
Yeah.
So uh I'm still writing things down because I got distracted by talking. But I can just start reading out the next competition. When a stranger calls back, a randomly selected pair, or selected by you, Gordon, if you want to, will hear a description of a previous competition formatted like it's a phone call from someone who half remembers the competition trying to describe it. The house guest has to buzz in and guess whether it was an HRH or veto competition that's being described. If they're incorrect, they are eliminated. If they are correct, the other person is eliminated. The winning house guest picks the next two to compete. Repeat the process until one house guest is left standing. So, Gordon, do you want to pick just two random players here?
Elizabeth Taylor, Lee Harvey Oswald.
Sounds good. All right, I'm gonna just move everybody else to one side here. Elizabeth Taylor and Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay, so the way I do this one is I flip a coin. Heads means one person wins, tails means the other person wins. And so, and then, like I said, whoever wins gets to pick the next two to play. Okay, so, for between Elizabeth and Lee Harvey Oswald, Elizabeth Taylor wins. Lee is eliminated. Uh, Elizabeth, and so another thing with like picking people for a competition like this, it's like you kind of want to pick the people like you don't want to win HOH because just to give them more chances to be eliminated. So I think Elizabeth Taylor is probably going to be targeting maybe Dinah and Ella since Jill was just in power. And then
Sure.
between them, Ella gets the question correct. Who do you think she'll pick to go next? Who does she not want to win?
Um,
She can pick Elizabeth Taylor again to go,
sure, why not?
and then maybe just Jay Leno because she's in the alliance or he's in the alliance.
Sure, why not?
Elizabeth Taylor gets another question correct, and I think she picks Ella again, and then maybe uh Michael.
Okay.
Ella gets it correct, somehow beating Michael. But I guess with something like this, it's like he's not good at like immediately interpreting like things and connect this thing to that thing or whatever. But Ella then picks. I don't want this to just be Ella and Elizabeth Taylor just picking each other back and forth, but it's like it's allowed, so I think they might just do that. And then she picks Elizabeth Taylor and Queer Duck. Queer Duck wins. Queer Duck picks Ella Harkins, maybe, and Dottie West. Actually, yeah, sure, Dottie West. Uh, Dottie West gets it correct. She picks Johnny Bristol and Bernard. Johnny Bristol gets it correct. He picks the only two people left, which is Queer Duck and Dottie West. Queer Duck gets it correct. And then between Johnny Bristol and Queer Duck, it is Johnny Bristol who wins HOH, his second one of the season. How do you feel about this
Yay.
win?
Yay.
Is
Good
is
for
that
him.
your only reaction?
I mean, sure.
You-
I I
how
don't
do
know
you think
how.
this will affect the game, Gordon?
I don't know. It's all
Who-
made up. It's all fake.
It, but we are playing
I
it.
know. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not
Take this seriously,
fully. I
Gordon.
know.
This is
Uh
very serious.
I know. I know. Fuck. I'm not in the spirit of it. Shit. Fuck.
And the
Um.
the event is one we've already done before, so we're skipping that. Um, but yeah, now we're in strategy phase. It's just we got Johnny and Michael here, but as we enter the jury phase, it's like some people might be wanting to make like new alliances. This is the part of the game where you might want to switch things up. It's like especially somebody like Dottie West who just lost her only ally. Like, who's she gonna go up with? Maybe some people are going to be breaking from their alliances. Like, I imagine uh, Lee Harvey Oswald and Bernard are going to be kind of more officializing their split from Jill, Ella, and Dinah. So, do you have any idea about like who do you think people are going to like gravitate towards? Like, who's going to be like splitting up? Who's going to be like staying firm?
Um. I don't even know. I zoned out again for a second there. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on what we're talking about.
So, I was just saying at this point in the game, it's like when alliances start to evolve, where either they might fall apart or they might get stronger, or it's like these people will join up with these people to get out these people. It's like, do you have
I think
anything stands out to you as like
let's
something that
say
might happen?
Queer Duck and Elizabeth Taylor are no longer uh, they've turned on Jay Leno.
Do
How's
they
that?
join up with anybody else instead?
No,
No? They
I don't
just
know.
they just want to
I
get rid of that number?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Sure. I'll let you do that.
Yeah.
Though I will do some other things. I will have Dottie West join up with Johnny Bristol and Michael, if only for maybe a pity thing. It's just like, hey, I've lost my only alliance member. Can I join up with you guys? And they're both nice and charming. They're like, sure, we'll let you join up with us. Why not? And maybe even Jay Leno is like, hey, I got kicked out of my alliance. Can I join up with you guys? Just like hands deep in his pockets, just kicking a rock. It's just like I don't got no friends.
Sure.
Do you think they let him in?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So Johnny and Michael went from an alliance of two to alliance of four. And now it's like, and I'm also thinking like, no. I was gonna say like maybe like Jill Ella. I was gonna say like do Jill Ella and Dinah like re-team up with Liam Bernard, but no. I think they're pretty severed, like in the hit show Severance, except not like that at all.
I'll take your word for it on that too.
You should watch it. It's a good show.
I've been told that by enough people that at this point, it's triggered that indignant part of my brain that has decided, well, that means I'll never watch it.
And so anyway, let's get back on track here. We have serious business to discuss. Like, who is Johnny Bristol going to be putting up on the block?
Bernard hasn't done shit. Let's get him in the mix. I don't. I don't think we've talked about him at all.
We've mentioned him.
We mentioned
Like
that
he
he that
he and
he
Lee
and
Harvey
Lee Harvey
Oswald are
Oswald are,
together.
but
And
like I
it's
don't.
like,
Has he competed in anything?
yes, well, he competes in every HOH competition because he hasn't won any of them yet.
Sure,
And he's been in a few vetoes.
fair, okay.
But yeah, he hasn't been nominated. He's just kind of floating on by. Right? And it's just like, but also maybe this is the part of the game where they try to get out people like Jill and like the trio of Jill, Ella, and Dinah are very strong right now. And it's like maybe try to split them up, or maybe Elizabeth and Queer Duck, they've been doing stuff, though haven't been winning all that much in recent times. Or maybe Lee and Bernard. Actually, what have Lee and Bernard won? Lee won a veto. Is that it? Just one veto? Yep, it's just one veto. Actually, yeah. Yeah, just one veto, one by Lee. Bernard hasn't won anything. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna I know you ask me to take the reins all the time, but I feel bad about doing it. But it's just like
No,
I
I please do because I have nothing to contribute on a material level that I would feel bad about. So
I think Johnny Bristol puts up Jill, and I think he puts up Dinah. One as like an easy vote to get out Jill, but then also because Dinah is like has proven to be a good competitor. Like even though she's blind, she's still pretty smart, and she's socially aware of the house around her.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Do you agree, or do you just say yes to what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know if I have the authority to know how these things usually go to say otherwise, but no, I agree.
All right. All right, so let's just get some veto players out here. There's 11 people in the house. All right, so we've got Lee Harvey Oswald, picked by Johnny. We've got Jill picking Elizabeth Taylor, and Dinah picks Queer Duck. Honestly, a pretty good lineup for Jill or Dinah to get the veto here, but Lee Harvey Oswald and Johnny Bristol aren't slouches either. Um, So the veto competition here is the Librarian Curse of the Judas Chalice. The house
Hell
guests,
yeah.
the house guests have a set of artifacts of varying sizes and weights, and a hanging mechanism that's similar to a mobile. The house guests have to hang all of their objects in a way that none of the objects are touching the ground. First to solve the puzzle wins. So Michael is not playing in this, so I don't have to flip a coin. Just gonna load up a couple die. Um, then. Who do you think will win this?
Remind me again, is this an everyone one or is this a
It's it's six people. It's Johnny Bristol, Jill Johnson, uh Dinus, whatever her last name is, Lee Harvey Oswald, Elizabeth Taylor, and Queer Duck.
let's say queer duck. He's queer.
He's good at puzzles because he's gay.
Yeah, why not? I'll allow it.
But you're wrong actually. The real winner of this
No,
competition is Lee Harvey Oswald.
no,
I'm sorry. The fucking assassin wins the competition.
you
Like
should be.
we were just saying how he doesn't win too much, and then he wins his second
No, we were
veto of the
saying
season.
I was saying Bernard doesn't win much. Lee Harvey Oswald's been an active player. Bernard hasn't done shit.
But also like I looked back and Lee Harvey Oswald had only won one veto before this, but now he just won his second.
There
So
you go.
it seems like kind of bad luck for Jill and Dinah. And it's not like using the veto on Jill or Dinah is not going to be too helpful. Although I could see I could see something here where Lee Harvey Oswald specifically uses the veto on Jill because he sees her as somebody who will go after Johnny and Michael. And like Johnny's probably going to put up like either Ella or Bernard, and I don't think Lee Harvey Oswald really cares about either of them, even though he is technically in alliance with Bernard. It's like I think he'd rather try and get Jill as like maybe a potential alliance member or get her back as an alliance member than try and save Bernard.
Sure. Sure, why not?
I like when drama happens, and I think this is a good thing of drama. And so, but I'll let you decide. Do you think Johnny puts up Ella because she is also in Jill and Dinah's alliance, or do you think he puts up Bernard because Lee used the veto, and it's just like, okay, then I'll put up your closest ally.
Sure, that one. Let's say Bernard.
Let's say Bernard. Okay, so the final nominees are Bernard and Dinah. This does Dinah get by on her blind card
Yeah, I think Bernard has not played. I should also the child card. I think
and the child card? Yeah.
there's enough people that are sympathetic to that like Bernard's just like some guy.
So
I
yeah,
don't
so,
think anyone cares.
so Elizabeth and Queer Duck could vote out Bernard, definitely. Ella and Jill definitely vote out Bernard. I think Lee Harvey Oswald at the very least tosses a vote towards Dinah, just to make it so like Bernard doesn't go out unanimously. But then yeah, probably everybody else votes out Bernard. So that is a 7-1 vote against Bernard.
Hey, remember 15 minutes ago when I said we had eliminated 5 people?
We've eliminated our
We've
sixth
we've now
person.
eliminated 6 people.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah,
Aren't you having fun?
yeah. I realized also part of why I'm in such a mood about this. I haven't eaten today and it's 6 p.m.
Why haven't you eaten today?
I didn't have a reason to.
You, I told you this is going to be a long recording. You should have eaten before this.
I got distracted.
Oh, Mike, or I called you Michael almost.
I
Gordon,
noticed, I
Gordon,
heard.
Gordon.
I was here. I heard that.
All right. Anyway, we move on to, we have 10 people left in this house. Uh,
And going by how it's gone so far, how that one took 15 minutes for one person, that's going to be another 2.5 hours.
it will not take that long.
2.5 hours.
Babes in Toyland, the house guests are given a bunch of objects with irregular shapes that they have to stack. They have an
Hey, you know
hour to
how long Babes in Toyland is?
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
They have an hour to stack up as many as possible, but they must press a button to lock in their stack before time is up. And this is another one where I flip a coin for Michael, and he wins it. Go job, Michael. So immediately from Johnny Bristol back to Michael. This is going to be tough for them to beat. But let's see. Let me just get everybody back in place. Gordon, who do you think Michael is going to put up?
I still, this is someone he likes or someone he doesn't like.
Someone he wants to get out of the house. Somebody.
Okay. Um, let's say Harkins.
Ella
Yeah, sure. Why
um,
not?
wants to go after that alliance again.
I don't know. Sure. I don't know. I haven't really pegged anyone else in this as someone that he, or not even anyone else, just anyone that's left as someone that he like is particularly against.
I mean, so he and Johnny are in the same alliance. So it's like, and
Yeah,
like last week, it's like we had the whole thing with Jill and Lee and Bernard and Dinah and everybody. So it's like, do you think he's just going to nominate Ella to give her a fair chance on the block?
I guess.
Okay. And who's going to go up next to her? J Going by
Uh,
your reasoning, it should be Jill, Dinah, or Lee Harvey Oswald.
my reasoning was I picked a name off the list, to be totally honest. Sure, let's say Jill.
Jill, okay. All right. So, and also just need to roll for an event real quick. That's one we've done before. All right. So, and we'll get some veto players as well. We have 10 people left. We have Dottie West competing. We have Lee Harvey Oswald competing. And we have Dinah competing. All right. Veto competition. Cast a deadly spell. The house guests have a list of spells in front of them. In each round, they are shown a slideshow of different spell names, and after it, they are asked a question about the slideshow they saw, i.e., what was the fourth spell listed or something along those lines. If they get it correct, they move on. If they're wrong, they're eliminated. Last house guest standing wins. And so, something I wrote down here is if Michael is playing, he just wins this. But I'm also open to the idea of him. Well, I would be open to the idea of him throwing it to somebody else for strategic reasons, but since he's just HOH and doesn't want people to, what doesn't want anybody else to win it, I think he just wins this because he's a robot and can memorize things pretty well. Do you
That
agree with that
makes
reasoning?
yes, that makes sense to me.
All right. So, congratulations, Michael. You also win the veto. And who do you think is going to get voted out here, Gordon?
Out of
Ella
who are
and
the
Jill.
uh
Actually, let's take this person by person. So, or alliance by alliance. So, Queer Duck and Elizabeth Taylor. Do you think they'll vote out Jill or do you think they'll vote out Ella Harkins?
I think they're having enough fun on their own that they've kind of checked out. Uh
She's so bored.
yeah. So I think they'll just go with whoever the majority goes with.
But it's a
I
secret vote, Gordon.
okay, well, I think they will ask around. I think they
True,
that's
true.
they're gossips. I think they'll game it that way. Whether
Look,
or
I
not people tell the truth, I don't
look, I
know. But
think though that they are invested in the game at the very least because of the cash prize, you know? Like the
yeah,
$750,000. Well, maybe not much to Elizabeth Taylor, but still she wants to win. She likes winning.
we'll say Harkins then.
I was gonna say Jill
Well, okay,
just because she's more of a threat to the game. Like she's
sure,
more competitive, she's more strategic, she's more sociable. Like Ella hasn't done shit really, except one HOH.
sure.
All right. Then what about Dinah? Like she's been in this an alliance with both Jill and Ella. Who do you think she's closer to?
I think she's closer to Jill.
So you think she votes out Ella?
Yep.
What about Lee Harvey Oswald? Does he vote out Ella to try and keep Jill in as like more of a stronger player, or
I repeat from like an hour and a half ago. What are we doing here? Lee Harvey. Okay, Lee Harvey Oswald.
I
Um.
I so last week he just saved Jill with the veto in order to get her as an alliance member, but now of course
So
Ella
then
and
I
Jill are
guess he'll
back in the
vote for
game.
Ella.
You vote out Ella. All right. And then we also have Johnny Bristol, Jay Leno, and Dottie West, who are all in a brand new alliance together. And I think they're all going to vote out Jill just because she is much more clearly a target, like a winner threat, we'll say.
That
And
makes
so,
sense.
in a vote of 5-2, Jill becomes the second member of the jury and is evicted from the house.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Jill. All
Hey, that one only took 7 minutes.
right. I don't like that you're keeping track of the time.
I'm not keeping track of the time. I just it just so happened to have been 6 o'clock on the dot when I said it last time, and now it's 6:07. I'm not actively timing you.
I would hope not. Okay. So we move on to our next HOH competition, which is Dark Night of the Scarecrow. The house guests have a long pole that they are holding up with a scarecrow at the top of it. If their pole leaves their hands or touches the ground, they are eliminated. Last scarecrow standing wins. And so I have a few dice to pull
Can
up
I
here.
just mention something that I'm only just now putting together?
What's up?
I don't think I realized Big Brother was such a heavily competition show.
So the international versions are not competition shows. It's just the American and Canadian versions.
Okay. I mean, I went into this knowing absolutely nothing about it other than it's people in a house.
Hmm.
And I assumed some sort of like surveillance, as per the name.
Yeah.
Didn't know any sort of competition to be had, but you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Like I want to get into like the more international versions, but it's like I'm just obsessed with the American version. I'm gonna get through that first before checking out the other ones. And even then, I'm
Makes
gonna go to the
sense.
Canadian version, which is a rip off the not a rip off, but using the same format as the American version.
That makes sense.
4 4. Sorry, just pulling up a few more dice here. 10, 6. Okay, so this is endurance competition where they're holding up poles, and Michael is not allowed to play. First one to be eliminated is Jay Leno. After that is both Johnny Bristol and Queer Duck are eliminated. After that is Ella. After that is Lee Harvey, no, Elizabeth Taylor. And we are down to Dinah, Lee Harvey Oswald, and Dottie West. Jesus Christ, how is Dinah still holding up this damn pole? She,
Psychic powers.
sure, it must be.
She's got brain psychicness.
Oh my God, Dottie West is out. It is down to Dinah and Lee Harvey Oswald.
This kid's
And
gonna go all the way. I tell you.
nope, it's Lee Harvey Oswald who wins.
Boo.
Are you not rooting for the assassin?
I'm rooting for the kid. Like I said, her
Y-
and Queer Duck are my two horses in the game,
Yeah.
just because
Anyways,
it's funnier that way.
it is funny. So, but now we I just got a look at this alliance right now. So it's Lee Harvey Oswald, Dinah, and Ella Harkins. And then it's like, obviously, like, I don't even need to ask you about this because there is no other choice than putting up both Michael and Johnny on the block. Like, there is
Yeah.
no shot that anybody else gets put up there. But also, need to quickly see if we get an event. We haven't gotten one in weeks. Oh, and I forgot to mention, uh, this week, uh, so the competition was held outside in the backyard, and when they went try to go back in, the doors are locked. They are forced to live outside for the whole week. So I actually
Oh,
roll two events for this to just try and add more. They are outside and delirious. Let's see. Um, so okay. Jill Johnson has become paranoid that there's another person in the house or in the backyard who has perfectly disguised themselves against the wall, and she doesn't. Wait, she's not even playing. Never mind. Fuck that. I was disappointed that we don't get to do that. And then I also rolled the Johnny Bristol one again. So nothing really happens. Oh well. Um, all right. And we already said that Michael and Johnny go up. Let's get some veto players out here. We got Ella is playing in the veto. We've got Elizabeth Taylor in the veto. And Johnny Bristol gets to pick somebody to play on his behalf, even though his bestie is already playing. And I think he just picks Queer Duck because that's who you pick when you don't want somebody to win. Or Dinah. But actually, you pick Gordon. Queer Duck or Dinah.
Queer Duck.
Okay. So the veto competition is the two Mrs. Grenvilles. The house guests each have a mannequin and a basket full of clothes and accessories. When the competition begins, they have to run over to a small window that shows a fully dressed mannequin. They have to run back to their own mannequin and try to match it. First correctly dressed mannequin wins. All right. And so this is going to be an easy one. It's just first one to get it. And Ella wins the veto.
Excuse me.
I did not even hear anything on
Okay,
your end.
good.
All right. And because Ella is, I guess, besties with Lee Harvey Oswald right now,
Sure, why
she
not?
she
Might
does,
as well.
it's just how things technically are right now. But she does not use the veto because, and of course, who would use the veto in this situation? Because Michael and Johnny have won so much right now. But who do they get out is the thing. Because again, they still don't know that Michael's a robot. But I think Michael has won a few competitions pretty handily. But then again, it's like Johnny Bristol wants to go home. Like he is whining and moaning about Charles, Vermont, on how he's like, God, it's not a real place. How could I have been so stupid? I just want to go home. I miss my family. I miss my memories or whatever he whines about. What do you think? Like, let's take Elizabeth and Queer Duck. Who do you think they'll vote out?
I'd say Johnny
Johnny Bristol?
Bristol.
They'll be more empathetic.
Yeah.
Jay Leno and Dottie. I guess
Uh,
both of them, like they're in that alliance. And so it's like maybe they'll toss one vote either. Actually, yeah, they'll probably vote out Johnny. Maybe just
yeah.
because they view him as uh
Volatile.
I was gonna say like I guess they view Michael as more of a strength to themselves. Like they know that he is a bit better at competitions. If they might not know exactly why.
That makes sense.
All right. And I'm just going to put Ella and Dinah as voting out Michael. And so it is a 4-2 vote to evict Mr. Johnny Bristol. He is the third member of the jury. So our HOH competition is Along Came a Spider. There's a track resembling a slip and slide. On one side is a basin of water, on the other is a globe with a small hole at the top and a ping pong ball made to look like a spider inside it. The house guests have a small cup and will use that to scoop water on one side, try to walk across the slippery surface, and pour the water into the globe to make the spider flow up to the top. First person to pull out the spider wins. All right. And the winner of this competition, this is one where I just roll a d20 and see who wins, is Elizabeth Taylor.
Yay.
Go her. Good job. It's been a while since she's won something, since she's cared about anything.
Yeah.
She's been so bored this whole time. And let's get a look at this house layout right now. We've got Lee, Ella, and Dinah all together. We've got Michael all, wait, no, not on his lonesome because he has Dottie and Jay Leno on his side. And then it's Elizabeth and Queer Duck against the world. Who do we think Elizabeth and Queer Duck are going to be targeting? Do they go after like Ella, Lee, and Dinah again, or do they go after Michael, or do like they could even like split the vote, go after Michael and Lee or something like that?
I'd say that one,
You
Michael
always
and
pick the
Lee.
last one I say.
It's easy that way. But also I, yeah,
Also,
fair.
yeah,
Yeah, why not?
sure, okay. But also, I think that's the one I would have agreed with anyway. I just like
Makes sense.
put both the
You
big
you
players on
did
the
say it.
block, see which one like can stay on there, and then get that guy out because it is two guys this time. All right, we roll for an event. Let's see if it's one we've done before. It is not. Queer Duck has a crisis about his sexuality and isolates himself for the week.
Yeah, straight duck.
Like that is a plot point in the movie.
I remember. I watched it. I was there.
You never know. Sometimes we forget things.
Sometimes we do.
I mean, but how could we ever forget Queer Duck though is the thing.
Or straight duck.
Straight Duck, he's heterosexual. They had a fake theme song, but I don't
They
remember
did,
the
yeah.
exact words.
I don't
Um,
either.
anyway, so Michael and Lee are on the block,
I know it was
and
straight duck. He is a hetero.
he is a hetero, straight
I
duck.
don't remember what the rhyme for it was though. There's nothing better. Oh,
There's nothing better. Um, anyway, Elizabeth Taylor gets her pick from the veto, and I think she picks Queer Duck, even though he's not going to be too invested in whatever this competition is, and probably wouldn't have won it anyway. Um, and after that, Dinah is also picked by Michael, and Jay Leno is picked. All right. So let's see what this competition is. Hysterical blindness. House guests are placed into a room with the lights off and have to find three hidden veto symbols. First house guest to find them and leave the room wins. All right. And so I'm just going to assume that Queer Duck does not try for this one. And so
I feel
everybody
like
else,
if anyone other than Dinah wins, that's kind of not fair.
I mean, maybe, but also my the way I'm deciding this competition does not include a bonus because Dinah is blind herself. Anyway,
Fair.
Elizabeth Taylor gets the first veto symbol. Jay gets one. Jay gets a second one. Lee Harvey Oswald gets one. Elizabeth Taylor gets her second one. Elizabeth Taylor gets her third one. Dinah didn't even get one.
No.
Dinah and Michael did not get one, which is like the two people you thought would be successful, but they weren't. Unfortunate. All right. So Elizabeth Taylor gets the veto win as well. Does she use it? Probably not, because she put them both up and they are both big threats. I don't think she could be convinced to take either of them down. But the real question is who goes home? Gordon, who do you think? Like, think about the few characters we have left between Ella Harkins, Dottie West, Queer Duck, and Dinah and Jay Leno. Who do you think is going to vote who out?
Um, I feel like Michael has proved himself to be a threat enough that people will vote for him.
But remember that Jay Leno and Dottie West are in his alliance. They'll still vote out Lee. But then Ella and Dinah are aligned with Lee currently. They'll vote out Michael. Then all that's left is Queer Duck, who is too busy having a crisis of sexuality to think about this competition, to think about voting. Who the hell does he vote for?
Michael,
Michael.
sure. Yeah.
All right. So in a 3-2 vote, Michael has been eliminated from the Big Brother house. Do you feel happy with yourself?
I feel happy that we're over halfway done now, officially.
And like I said, like now that we're at this
No,
point, it's
I
going to go
know.
so quickly.
I know.
Let me just write down that
I
the
also don't want you to feel like you have to be rushed just because I'm being antagonistic. Like,
no, like this just naturally gets quicker because there is
yeah,
less to talk about.
yeah.
Like there are less people playing, yada yada yada. And 3-2 vote. All right. And now that we're down to the final seven, all right. HOH competition is Roswell. The house guests are on a seesaw resembling a shovel and have a basket of balls resembling alien heads. They must grab an alien head, walk along the seesaw, placing the alien head into the shovel head at the end, and walk back across it, being careful that the motion of the seesaw does not knock the ball out. If the ball does fall out, the house guest must reset, and the first house guest to place all their aliens into the shovel wins. So, it's just a simple competition. Whoever can endure the balance long enough wins. And perhaps to surprise to some people, Dinah has won the HOH, the one
Yay.
involving balance. And and Lee Harvey Oswald is still here. Ella is still here. And it's like she has to pick between Queer Duck, Elizabeth Taylor, Jay Leno, and Dottie West to put up on the block. But first, let me just roll for an event, see if anything happens. I think this is one we've done before. Yeah, this is the Dinah one where she already bonded with the president.
Right.
Um, yeah, let me just write down. Who do you think Dinah's putting up?
Um,
Like we're at the point where there's not many threats left in the house, at least none that are n not already in Dinah's alliance. Like Jay Leno, Dottie West, Queer Duck, and Elizabeth Taylor. It's like nobody really cares about any of them.
yeah. That is a majority though.
Hmm.
Um, Jay Leno.
Jay Leno.
Yep.
Any reasoning?
No.
Who else?
Oh, she picks both of them.
Well, yeah, the HOH picks both nominees for
Right.
eviction.
Is that something that's happened every time and I
E-
haven't
Every time,
caught
yeah.
on to it? Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, I think you're mixing up the
I think I'm mixing up a
nominees and
lot
veto
at this
players.
point. Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor, put her up as well. All right, so our nominees are Jay Leno and Elizabeth Taylor. And now only one person sits out of the veto, and it's going to be Queer Duck.
Okay.
So everybody else but Queer Duck is playing in this veto. All right, and it is Otev the American Pickle. For those listening and for Gordon as well, Otev is a Big Brother competition where there's like this big like idol or like statue of a god or something, and he's called Otev, which is veto backwards. And every year he has a different theme. And so this year, for for my competition, the theme is based around the movie The American Pickle, or rather, Otev is just a big old pickle. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
the house guests sit atop a waterfall in front of Otev. Around them are strewn pickles with the names of evicted house guests on them. Otev will ask questions where the answer applies to one evicted house guest, and the players will run to find the right pickle and bring it back to Otev. Last person to return to Otev with the correct name is eliminated. Last house guest standing wins. So this is another one where I need to pull up a few die. Uh, Who do you think will win this? Do you think the blind girl will win, or Jay Leno, or Elizabeth Taylor, or Ella, or Lee, or Dottie?
Um, I mean, every time I've said someone else, it's just ended up being Lee Harvey Oswald. So, gonna
You're,
trust the numbers and say him again.
all right. So in round one, uh, Dottie West and Dinah are eliminated. In round two, that is Ella is eliminated. In round three, Lee Harvey Oswald and Elizabeth Taylor have been eliminated. Wait, did I already say she was eliminated?
Nope.
No,
It's Jay
okay.
Leno
It's
wins.
Jay Leno wins.
Good for
So
you, Jay Leno.
good for you, Jay Leno. Take yourself off the block. Pat yourself on the back. Um, so yeah, Jay Leno wins something. Good for him.
Good for him.
And of course, he does use it on himself because I don't think he's that stupid or doesn't care about Elizabeth Taylor that much to save her over himself. And Dinah puts up Queer Duck or Dottie. Who do you think?
Dottie.
Dottie West? All right.
Sure.
All right. So now, now we vote. Who who does everybody vote for? Well, Jay Leno.
No, not Jay Leno.
Well, and
He
I'm
vetoed
saying
himself.
he's voting,
Oh,
and he's going to be voting. Well, actually, this is a bit of a this is a tough thing because even though he was in an alliance with Elizabeth Taylor, they kicked him out. He's been in an alliance with Dottie West, but I think he is also a very sentimental kind of guy. Like maybe he'll vote for Elizabeth Taylor to stay, vote out Dottie instead, even though she's on his side.
I would say Elizabeth.
He'd vote out Elizabeth still.
Yeah.
And Queer Duck, of course, votes out Dottie West. Then we have Lee Harvey Oswald and Ella, who will probably vote together because they're in an alliance with Dinah, of course. But who's the bigger threat here? Is it Dottie West or Elizabeth Taylor?
Dottie West, let's
Dottie
say.
West, you think?
Sure.
All right, let's vote out Dottie. In
Okay.
a 3-1 vote, Dottie West has been eliminated or has been evicted from the Big Brother house. All right, let me just write all that down. We are down to the final six, getting very, very close to the end here,
Yes.
especially since we are currently in a double eviction week. Dun dun
Ooh.
dun, which
Da da da.
it means very little for us, but instead of it happening over the course of a week, this is all happening within an hour. So immediately, HOH competition is prototype. The house guests are given a bunch of pieces to a puzzle, creating a robot. First house guest to solve the puzzle wins. And the winner of this one is Dinah. Wait, no, she's not
Yay.
competing. Never mind.
No.
She, it's Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yay.
Yay! All right. And Lee Harvey Oswald is obviously not going to be putting up Dinah or Ella right now, especially since he knows he can probably beat them at any competition or most competitions. So he's probably going to put up Elizabeth Taylor again. And you pick Queer Duck or Jay Leno.
Uh Sorry, picking for what?
Queer Duck or Jay Leno, who gets nominated?
Uh Eliminated?
Nominated.
Nominated
Nominated
for
for eviction.
Jay Leno.
Jay Leno. Okay. All right. So our veto competition is holiday touchdown. The house guests throw footballs into a bucket. Most footballs into the bucket after 3 minutes wins. I just need to pull up a few dice here, even though we're trying to be very quick about this. Bum. And I don't mean like very quick about it because we're trying to rush, but just because this is a double eviction. It's very quick. This is all taking within 1 hour, except I'm trying to make it take only a couple minutes to try and emulate the fast speed, even though I am very slow about getting these dice up. Dinah. And also, we're at the point where there's only 6 people playing in the veto, so everybody gets to play. And also, on double eviction nights, everybody gets to play in the video veto regardless, just because they don't have time to pick veto players.
That makes sense.
Um, Weird. Am I missing somebody? Who am I missing?
Who do you have?
Oh, I'm not missing anybody. I just lost my place.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so uh Jay Leno and Ella Harkins both get a point. Uh, and I should say first to 3 points wins. Uh,
Okay.
Jay Leno gets his second point. Jay Leno gets a third point immediately. Okay, Jay Leno wins the veto. He takes himself off the block. I think it's very easy to put Queer Duck on there. And who gets evicted? Who does Jay Leno vote out? Queer Duck or Elizabeth? They both kicked him out of their alliance.
Elizabeth.
All right. And then I think it's a 3-0 vote because nobody takes Queer Duck seriously. And this is why he ends up in the final two so much because nobody ever takes him seriously.
Yeah.
Even though
Certainly not because I'm gaming the system to keep him alive.
no, because I never take him seriously.
That would make sense.
Okay. And so Elizabeth Taylor 3-0 vote. All right. She has been evicted in this double eviction night. And now we are down to the final five. And our HOH competition is the Halloween tree. The house guests are each holding up large pairs of tweezers and must use those to assemble a tiny Halloween tree. First person to correctly assemble the tree wins. And of course, Lee Harvey Oswald cannot compete here. It's between Queer Duck, Jay Leno, Ella, and Dinah. And Ella has won the HOH. And now we actually have an interesting situation here. So of course, like Ella's not going to be putting up Dinah here, but Ella has to be thinking about how she might want to win this, and she must see that Lee Harvey Oswald has been winning a lot of competitions recently in the game. Do you think she might turn her back on him
Yeah.
and put him up on the block?
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Does she put up Queer Duck or Jay Leno next to him?
Jay Leno.
Jay Leno, sure.
He just won the past couple things.
Yeah, he did.
He's annoying.
He's still very annoying, as is Queer Duck, but they just let him slide by because they don't view him as much of a threat either. So yeah, let me just put down that LO1 that. And our veto competition is Anonymous Rex. One by one, the house guests are shown a series of pictures that merge together the faces of three house guests. They must correctly identify which house guests are involved in each picture. Fastest to correctly identify the house guests in all three pictures wins. And I'm just going to pretend that this one uh is actually accessible to Dinah, though I don't know how they would do that. But I'm gonna with the dice rolls I'm doing, it is not weighted towards anybody. So Dinah could still easily win this.
Psychic powers.
Exactly. Just psychically see what's on the TV and see whose faces
Yeah.
they are. Uh, and in fact, Dinah actually does win this.
Yay.
So does Dinah take Lee off the block? Like, does she trust him more than Ella did and wants to keep him around? Or
No,
does she or is she like on Ella's side and like wants to get rid of him?
I think that one.
Okay. So, and then with just Queer Duck and Dinah voting, I think it's a pretty easy 2-0 vote to get out Lee Harvey Oswald.
Okay, we're down to our final four.
See, I told you this would pick up.
Yeah.
And I just need to write down that Dinah won the veto and Lee Harvey Oswald has been evicted. 2-0. All right. Our next HOH competition, our final four, is Net Force. The house guests are
Yay.
given a series of statements about events in the house. They must decide what is real and what is fake. So they have 10 questions that they're doing, and most questions correct wins. It's between Queer Duck, Jay, and Dinah. Do you have like a Word document or anything open where you can type things down? I just want somebody
Yeah, I
else
do.
to keep
I've
track
had
of.
a notes app where I've just been slowly eliminating names from the list.
All right. So I want you to just put points next to everybody who gets things right.
Okay.
So for question one, Dinah gets it correct. Question two, Dinah gets it correct. Question three, everybody gets it correct. Everybody gets a point. Question four, Dinah and Jay Leno get it correct. Question five, Jay Leno gets it correct. Question six, Jay Leno gets it correct. Question seven, Queer Duck and Dinah get it correct. Question eight, nobody gets it correct. What are the points at right now?
5 for Dinah, 4 for Jay Leno, 1 for Harkins, 2 for Queer Duck.
Harkins is not playing.
Oh, is she not?
No, because she was the last HOH.
Okay. Well, okay.
She gets a point just for standing there looking nice. Anyway,
Okay.
um, last question. Everybody gets it correct. Or not, second to last question it was. Now it's the last question. Nobody gets it correct, so that means Dinah wins.
Yes, it does.
All right. And I think she also puts up Queer Duck and Jay Leno, even though for the final four, it really doesn't matter. The veto is much more important at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let me just write down that. All it really means is that Dinah is making it to the final three. Anyway, the veto competition. Year of the Sex Olympics. The house guests have a box full of single-digit number cards in front of them. Um, And in front of them is a wall which lists different events that have happened in the house. The house guest uses the number cards to identify which day each event happened in the house. First guest to get a correct board wins. And so, Dinah, Queer Duck, Jay, and Ella. Mm, 6. Okay. So I just roll one die here, and somehow Jay Leno has won this. For background purposes, I gave Dinah and Ella D12s, uh, Jay Leno a D6, and Queer Duck a D4, and then Dinah and Ella both rolled nat ones, and so Jay Leno wins.
Well, bye
And
bye,
so,
Queer Duck. We
well,
hardly knew you.
no, because Jay Leno takes himself off the block, Ella is the only person left, and Jay Leno
Oh,
gets to
right.
decide who goes home.
Right.
And so
Okay.
I
Well
think
then,
Jay Leno votes out Ella. Like even though Queer Duck forced him out of the his alliance, I think he sees that Ella is much more of a threat.
I will agree with you on the basis of furthering Queer Duck in the
So,
game.
so yeah, your favorite players are both in the final three.
I wonder who's going to be eliminated next if I have a say in it.
Well, at this point, we don't. Well, you do get a say, but it's now that it's the final three, it's a different kind of round. There's no like they're all competing for the final HOH, and it is a three-part competition. So in part one, we have Evening Primrose. The house guests are hanging from long vines covered in roses. The vines are being swung back and forth into a large foam wall. Whoever holds on the longest wins. And for these three, or at least the first two parts of the competition, I haven't like assigned dice values. This is more just like us seeing the three competitors between Dinah, Queer Duck, and Jay and see who can hold on to a vine the longest. And I think the obvious answer is Jay Leno.
I was going to say the obvious answer is everyone but Jay Leno.
Really? I
Yeah,
I would think that Jay Leno is at least
Jay Leno's
somewhat has arm
a
strength,
he's an oily guy. He's a slippery guy. He's he's also got the disadvantage of being up against a child and a bird, both pretty light
but
comparatively.
they don't have any arm strength though. Like
Yeah, but they also don't have as much, gravity pulling down on them. Not saying, anything negative about Jay Leno, but like he's got multiple disadvantages just in terms of like, how much is gravity trying to pull him down off this vine.
huh.
Weirdduck's got hollow bones. Dinah's just like a little blind kid. Like
Queer Duck has wings, doesn't he? Or does he? Does the cartoon give him like actual hands?
I feel like does some
I'm
thumbs
looking it
up
up. I
stuff.
This is important. If Queer Duck has real hands, I will give him the win. Queer Duck has real hands, I will give him the win. So Queer Duck has
Okay.
won part one of the HOH. Part two, the ultimate legacy. The house guests have large cards with the faces of every house guest on it. They have to place the house guests in order of their eviction, as well as placing the house guests who are on the block next to them. Uh, so I think this is actually a very easy win for Dinah because I don't think Jay Leno would be keeping track of things like that, whereas Dinah would.
Yeah,
Hmm. And this isn't just because you like Dinah. It's because I think she would be very good at this.
I agree.
All right. And now it's time for the final part of the competition, the million game. The house guests are given questions that were asked to different jurors and must decide between two options how the juror answered. So I'm going to ask you to once again keep track of who gets each question right. There are going to be six questions, and there's also a like if there's a tie, I also have a tiebreaker thing prepared. Anyway, so you ready?
Yes,
First question, Dinah gets correct. Question two, both get it wrong. Question three, both get it right. Question four, Dinah gets it correct. Question five, both get it wrong. And question six, both get it correct, which I believe means Dinah is the final HOH.
that is correct.
Congratulations, Dinah. And now she gets to choose whether Queer Duck or Jay Leno sits next to her in the final two.
She's gonna pick that duck, baby.
Honestly, like if I were thinking strategically like Dynamite, I think she might pick Jay Leno, if only because like I think Queer Duck technically did more. But for you, Gordon, we gotta have Dinah and Queer Duck in that final too. So
Yay!
that was a very Gordon or a very Christoph yay you just
Oh,
did.
was it?
Yeah,
I was stretching. I wonder if that makes me momentarily German, just
maybe.
like voice wise.
All right. And so now we go to our jurors, our nine jurors here. To actually, first, let me write down that Dinah won the final HOH and evicted Jay Leno. So, um, All right, we have Queer Duck and Dinah in the final two. First, our first juror is Bernard. Who does he vote to win?
Uh, Queer Duck.
Queer Duck? Why?
Didn't he have something against Dinah? Probably.
Uh, they were in alliance together, but then they kind of split apart. And then who did Dinah evict Bernard? No, Dinah didn't evict Bernard.
I don't
Uh,
know.
well, maybe voted to evict him, but I think everybody voted to evict Bernard. Where is he? Oh yeah, they were put on the block together actually. No,
Oh,
they were kind of yeah, yeah, they were just on the block together. Uh,
fair.
I honestly think that he might vote for Dinah to win.
Okay, well, I'll allow it.
Will you?
Yeah,
Okay then. Uh, Number two, we have Jill. I think that's a pretty easy vote for Dinah there
yeah.
because they were longtime Alliance members. Johnny Bristol. Who do you think?
Probably also Dinah.
Probably also Dinah. Yeah. I think I think one, I think people just like Dinah more because one,
Yeah,
she's a child. Two, she's not queer duck. Three, she's blind. Four, she's actually been playing the game pretty well.
yeah,
Next we have Michael. I think that's another vote for queer duck. He just kind of follows Johnny down that path. Or another vote for Dinah. I'm not sure if I said that correctly, but I meant Dinah.
yeah.
Uh, Number five is Dottie West.
Dinah.
Dinah probably. She supports women probably. Saying this about a woman who died in the 90s.
It happens.
Elizabeth Taylor, I think she's going to cast a lone vote for Queer Duck.
Yeah,
Um, Next we have Lee Harvey Oswald, who I think at the very least respects the game, if not like actually has some sentimental value towards Dinah because they were together in an
that would
alliance.
track. That would make sense.
And then Ella, of course, votes for Dinah. And then
Uh,
Jay Leno.
Probably also Dinah.
I was thinking maybe even actually, you
Well, then
know,
maybe
I
Queer Duck then. I
I
don't know.
I don't I don't know how Jay Leno thinks really. Most times I played this, Jay Leno gets evicted either pretty early or his vote doesn't really matter. But again, it doesn't matter here. But
Yeah,
I don't think too much about it. Jay Leno, we'll just I want to throw another vote to Queer Duck. I think it's funnier if Dinah does not win unanimously or even just to one vote against Queer Duck. Yeah, so go 7-2. Dinah wins the first ever Big Brother televised TV movie story. How
yay!
do you feel, Gordon?
Hungry.
Is that all you feel after this whole
No, that
experience?
was fun. That was fun. That was I didn't understand a lot of it, but I had a good time playing along and witnessing all of your machinations. And no, that
I,
was good.
I'm glad you had fun. Would you want to do this again next year?
Ask me later. Ask me again, not right now.
Okay, we'll talk later. And again,
Yes.
it's a whole year away. Like
Yes.
when the season finale Big Brother comes, I'll be doing another one of this with Christoph on my first podcast.
That makes sense.
But yeah, thank you for joining me for this, Gordon. Thank you for uh being lost for me.
I was gonna say thank you for having me, but it's also my podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not I'm supposed to be here.
like I begged you to let me do this, and you humored me, and I thank you for humoring me with this.
Thank you for having me.
Any final thoughts? Any final notes you want to end this podcast on? Any final funny lines you want to say as I end this?
Justice for Queer Duck.